Before and after every show, check out weekdays.com. It's showtime.
It's said that character is what you do when no one is watching. If that's the case, then Senator Kathy Giessel has the sort of character that is needed in Juneau. Away from the photo ops or flashy media events, Kathy Giessel hits the books just like she did in nursing school. For the past 4 years, Senator Giessel has worked hard for you, studying the impact of greater access to immunizations for Alaska's kids, crafting legislation that frees up business owners to expand and hire more Alaskans, and working to improve the infrastructure like roads and schools. Not just for this generation, but for generations of Alaskans to come. This election is more than just about promises or bullet points. It's about sending the right person to Juneau with the character to act on behalf of us when we can't watch. We need someone with the character to do the hard work when no one is watching, to make decisions we can trust. We need to re-elect Senator Kathy Giessel.
Paid for by re-elect Senator Kathy Giessel for Senate. 12701 Ridgewood Road, Anchorage, Alaska, 99516.
When I grew up, I wanted to be a pro basketball player.
An elementary school teacher.
Oh, an Olympic gymnast.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream. For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
When Malarkey Mark Begich ran for U.S. Senator, he made a lot of claims about his record as Anchorage mayor. Begich knew the truth wouldn't come to light before the election. But now, history is caught up with Malarkey Mark. Under Begich, Anchorage taxes went up 27%. Under Begich, the city budget ballooned, a $142 million increase in spending. Under Begich, the city was saddled with unprecedented 5-year union contracts. Under Begich, a deficit of over $20 million was left for the next mayor to deal with. Begich left Anchorage in serious trouble. Alaska's Energy, America's Values paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. It's time to replace Malarkey Mark with U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. EnergyandValues.com.
Are you ready? Dan Fagan and Glen Biegel are here. They're gonna tear it up, rip it down, and shoot it straight. Fagan and Biegel in the morning on Hot Talk, KOAN. And now, Fagan and Biegel.
Let's kick it. We are headed into political season. It is, I think heating up is a little bit of an understatement here. It is boiling over, and lots to talk about today on the political front. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, 6:06 a.m. Good morning, Bonnie.
Good morning.
And it is October 14th. Somebody in the line at McDonald's said the S word to me. So no.
Coming.
Said it's coming this week?
This week. It
That's what
doesn't
he
feel
said?
cold enough out there for that.
Well, I don't know. I think that it could turn cold real fast. We're definitely in the season. I'm ready though.
I'm gonna have to start getting up earlier then.
What?
I gotta head down the hill.
Yeah, you gotta head all the way down.
Yeah, gotta drive slow. I don't like to drive slow. I'm not a slow driver.
No, not big on that. Brian was said he had to rush home. Our producer here said he had to rush home and said he felt comfortable going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Which most people do anyway.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable going the speed limit. Just about ever. I really don't.
Yeah, you might get hit from behind.
Well, the only time is in a school zone with the lights flashing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what the penalty is, by the way, for going over the speed limit in the school zone with the lights flashing?
I have no idea.
Jail.
No, it's $100 per mile an hour, starting at 1 mile an hour.
What?
Whoa.
And it's a 6-point ticket.
How do you know this? I hope not from personal experience.
Let's see if I've ever. Way back when Mayor Begich put in this fantastically wonderful program called Photo Radar. Yeah, it was one of the most brilliant transfers of wealth from the people of Alaska to our insurance companies ever in the history of ever.
Right.
So anyway, I learned quite a bit about the punishments. Did you know that you can't change lanes in a school zone?
I did not know that either.
No.
Cannot do that. Did you know that you can't change lanes unless you've been in a lane for 50 feet?
Anywhere or just in a school zone?
Anywhere.
Is that the 3-second rule?
Yeah, something like that. Basically, that's the way it's been explained to me. What I'm trying to get people to understand is we violate, I would say, at least 5 to 10 traffic laws on our way to work each and every day.
Yeah, you know what gets me is people that slow down on the highway instead of the off-ramp.
Yeah, that's totally not allowed. I have read that in the book.
No fathers. Because your dad would always tell you, what are you doing? You got this half a mile long off-ramp. That's where you slow down. You slow down in the middle of, people going 65 miles an hour, and you should get hit.
And same thing with on-ramps. Don't come on at 45.
Right.
And act like everybody's a jerk for,
Well, and the real problem I have with that is it's usually not the ding-a-ling who's driving 45 trying to get on that they're endangering. It's all the people behind them who've queued up because they're stuck now beyond this idiot.
Now they're impeding traffic. Or the guy who sees somebody doing that and then jumps over in front of you in the fast lane and slows you down. It's like, so it's okay for you to not slow down, but you can slow me down. Whatever.
I don't know about you guys, but now that I have an almost driver,
I
am really taking note of how I drive because he's watching me.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'll be like, Mom, what's the speed limit here? I think it's 65 maybe? Oh, really? On Abbott? No, Mom. And then you start reading the manual with them.
Yes.
And you start saying, wow, I didn't know that was a law.
Yeah, there are lots and lots of really strange laws.
Wow, so when you hit like 35, they should send you back to driver's ed just in case.
Yeah.
Now, have you guys ever had to go through the actual training school?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I got my license in '86. I didn't have to. My daughter just did, though, to get hers in Washington.
I got some kind of a ticket way back when, and they made me go back through driver's ed school.
What kind of ticket was it?
I think it was just speeding. I don't know. I got into. It might have been. I don't remember. I think it was speeding.
Was it so you could get those points off your license?
Yeah,
maybe?
you get the points off your license, and it helps you reduce your insurance. And I mean, it was a son, you will do this or else.
Yes.
I've been in so many accidents. Yeah.
Me
Not all of them. I got in an accident 6 days after I got my license. A postal delivery person, a postman, who was sitting there sorting his mail as he's at some intersection off Johns Road, and he just pulled right out. Now, how he missed me, I was driving a Diesel Rabbit with a 22-foot ladder on top of my truck headed to one of my clients to wash their windows. I don't know how you missed that. It's like an elephant on Mulberry Street. Am I wrong? Yeah, like, well, I have no idea.
Wait, so he ran into you?
Yeah,
so it
he totally
wasn't your
did.
fault.
Yeah, I was just driving down the road, and here I am 6 days into my license, and he totally smashes the car. But he was just sorting his mail, and I guess my theory is that it was such an odd sight that it was the elephant on Mulberry Street, and he just couldn't even imagine it. Like, I must have just imagined that.
Couldn't avert
I'll
his
just
eyes.
go.
You just watch it all the way till you hit it.
Yeah. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, nowadays I would have avoided that accident so easily because I had a scene. All of a sudden, his tires start moving. I just started going because I had the whole other lane to go to. It's not like somebody was in the opposing lane or anything. It was a wide open road. I was just frozen. I was like, what is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing?
And you're so nervous right after you get your license anyway.
Yeah, I was terrified.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've been in a couple accidents, but not since I was about 20, knock on wood. I hope this is wood.
Yeah, you do figure it out. That's the one thing. After you get to a certain age, you know that if you keep taking risks every day, which is kind of what you're doing when you're young. You may not know you're taking risks, but a lot of times kids are. And you just have to say to your kids, if you take a risk, if you're not sure that there's nobody there, right? If you're not sure you can stop, eventually the numbers just are going to come up, and there's going to be nothing you can do. So that's the biggest lesson for sure. You listen to Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Dan is out this week. He's on vacay.
Vacay.
Yeah, so
nice.
Taking a little
We'll
leave time. Absolutely. And I'd love to hear from you. 569-1080. You're listening to Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie on KOAN 1080 and 95.1 here in Anchorage, and out in the valley it's KVNT 1020 and 92.5. You can also catch us. We are streaming video, which Bonnie's always lovely. I don't know, how does it take you like 2-3 hours to get ready, or?
Yeah, it does. No. I get up at the last possible second.
Yeah, but that's still 2 or 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I look like myself, unfortunately, as I would normally do. Lots to cover on the program today, and I would love to hear from you. 569-1080, a shocking revelation.
Dun, dun, dun.
From Byron Malott.
Oh, yes.
Running for lieutenant governor. And you will not believe what I will say. You will not believe what he has said.
You'll be
about
like,
Senate
come
Bill
again?
10.
Really?
Whoa. Here they. Anyway, so we have that to cover. All of the initiatives that are coming up. There's more and more information about them. UFL is going to be in with us, United for Liberty, Michael Chambers. He's got an event coming up Friday. And this will shock you, too. The no on one side, the union membership, does not want to come.
What?
I know!
No way!
Exactly. It's the most amazing thing. 569-1080, 6:14 a.m.
This is Dr. Ellenberg. Are you tired of taking medications? Do your medications create more side effects than solutions? Do you want more than 15 minutes with your doctor? If you answer yes to those questions, you should consider calling the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine. At our center, we take the time to listen and focus on finding the cause of your health problems. Whether you have a cold, high blood pressure, diabetes, or cancer, we can help. Call the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine at 563-2366 or visit us online at drellenberg.com. We can help.
911, please hold. 911, please hold.
Anchorage has 80 fewer cops on duty than it did 5 years ago, even though the city is bigger. More people, less coverage. Emergency vehicles get pulled from the hillside or Eagle River to cover Midtown when there are multiple accidents or ambulance calls. And that may mean a much longer response time for somebody who needs help. AO 37 removes police and firefighters from the discussion about staffing and equipment. Their experience is ignored, replaced by someone who doesn't understand what swift water rescue means to Eagle River or what rigs are best for hillside roads in winter. Vote no on 1. Let's stop playing politics with public safety.
Having my clients sign them. With intelligent printers and MFPs, customized apps and services, Kyocera Document Solutions helps you capture, distribute, and manage the many documents that matter.
Legal Documents 101. Now that ought to be a course.
If the document is important, the company is important.
Royal Business Systems has been a leading provider of high-quality business technology and services since 1990. Royal Business Systems provides HP, Okidata, and Kyocera printers and MFPs, and support recognized throughout the industry as best in class. Come to Royal Business Systems for the total document solution you need to succeed in a competitive marketplace. Don't call 1-800-WHO-CARES. Call Royal Business Systems at 563-4118. That's 563-4118. Or visit us at akcopy.net.
Fagan, Biegel. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. The Talk of the Valley. KVN.
Oh, yeah. 6:17 a.m. Political season in high gear. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Dan Fagan is off this week, so it's just Biegel and Bonnie, the buzz. The buzz.
You can't.
And Brian.
The bees.
Oh wow.
The buzz.
Look at
Where?
that.
Yeah, we've got to change the change the name of our
freebie.
show to the buzz. The buzz.
Beagle, Bonnie, and Brian.
We're talking about pet peeves in traffic. One of them several years ago probably could have been me, since I was in several accidents and all kinds of problematic situations. I'm a very good driver now. Just want to say that.
Oh, I'm a good driver.
for
I just
absolute
drive fast.
We go to the phones here, 569-1080, 569-1080, and Todd. Hey, Todd, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I understand you have some fun driving examples for us.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say everyone is a good driver. Right?
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Just like nobody in prison is guilty.
Mhm.
That's right. That's
yeah,
true.
even
Good
the
point.
guy. What was that movie where that was a special needs guy and they went to Vegas or something?
Rain Man.
Rain Man. Even he was a good driver.
On Sunday in the driveway.
Yeah, drive slow in the driveway. You know, I don't know if you guys understand the proper way to merge when there are two lanes that go into one, but in Wasilla, I don't think the greater Wasilla population understands this. There is a merge there by Spenard Builders, and for some reason, everyone gets into the lane that is going to stay a lane a mile before the merge. And then they get upset with you when you travel in the lane that's empty and go up to where the merge area is.
That is so true. I know exactly what you're talking about. Right before Burchell High School.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, just what you do, just for anyone in Wasilla who's listening, is what you do is you fill both lanes and then you alternate vehicles. And this way, nobody is backed up a mile past two lights. And then you don't have to get stressed out when someone comes up beside you and goes past you.
Are you trying to say let me in? So people, you need to start letting me in when I wait till the last minute. I'm that guy.
I totally disagree with you, Todd.
Yeah, nobody will ever cooperate like that.
Yeah, and the reason is, Todd, you would be right, except for the fact that the merge does not have right of way. The merge lane is not. They're not two equal parts. The straight through lane has absolute right to keep going. The people at the merge lane don't. So I think it's proper etiquette to get into it once it's backed up, to merge in at the point at which the lanes are that you have one lane backed up. I think that's proper.
Aren't they fixing that anyway? I thought they were
You
doing
disagree
something
with me,
about
Todd?
Do an internet search. Look at your traffic laws, and you will see that proper merging is at the point of merge, and you alternate vehicles.
Ooh, I'll bet that's in the manual.
That is new for me. I did not know that, and neither does anybody else. So the problem is here that the public has decided that we will be upset with people who follow proper whatever the legal process is.
Todd, you just need to retrain them, because Glenn said that he has retrained a traffic pattern
I
before.
have. I am totally taking credit here. Hey, I appreciate it, Todd.
I show people how to do a roundabout.
Yeah.
Man, I watched a policeman pull somebody over for merging into the roundabout, and I was very proud of the policeman. I think they almost cut the policeman off, so that was where they went wrong. But they totally cut the person off. I mean, and there was no space there whatsoever, and they just gunned it on in there.
So I have to hear to hear the story.
Okay, so this is on 3rd Avenue where Ingra turns onto 3rd.
Okay,
there's a turn lane there, and it's its own lane after it turns.
Yes.
There is a solid white line. So here is, people are not allowed to come into your lane, and you are not allowed to go into their lane. You're not allowed to cross a solid white line. You're supposed to stay in your lane. So there's not a stop sign there, because you're not supposed to stop there, because it's your own lane. You're just turning from one lane that's going in one direction to your lane going the other direction.
Makes sense.
It's very simple. So with constant berating, what people would do is they would stop there and wait, and they would be like a little bit out of the way, and I'd just go around them and go into our lane.
Because
Stay
you
in
have
our
the
lane.
right of way.
Right.
You have the right to do that.
Well, you're not supposed to stop for no reason on a street.
No. Yeah.
That's against the law. I mean, if you think that there's some kind of a situation
So
going
you have retrained all the people who are there at that
Most
moment
of them.
to every day.
That's right. By constantly just forcing people and showing them there's no stop sign here.
Yes, I do
turn.
that. I do that whenever there's, in that same area, there's a place where you can turn on a red light, not the red arrow.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you can turn on
You
the
can
red
never
light.
turn on a red arrow.
Right, but on the red light, you can turn in the opposite direction on the red light.
On a red ball.
Right.
And people don't know this one. And
If it's a one-way street.
Somebody actually won a bet on this. This is how I know this is true. As a friend of mine won a bet, they went and asked a police officer. And the bet is, I'm sitting on a two-way street. I'm at a red ball, okay?
Yeah.
And what I want to turn onto a one-way street across, what the two-way street traffic is.
Yep.
And I'm on a red ball. Can you do that? You absolutely can. You're supposed to turn into the first lane when, traffic is clear.
Yep.
So it's like a stop sign there.
So I have retrained people too.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, we are gonna solve the world's problems one street at a time.
Or at least Anchorage is.
Yeah. I think we've got a long way to go, by the way. There are some really horrible drivers. Somebody, once the third or fourth person passes you and you're in the fast lane on a freeway, what they would do in other states, it's very simple. They would shoot you, and then thousands of people would drive by as your car was burning on the side of the road. Because everybody knows that you just don't do that.
Yeah.
That's not done. Yeah. You get out of the way. And if you're going 55 on a 65, you have a problem, not anybody else. So, I do wonder whether or not capital punishment for stupid driving is not the proper.
I say we start something on that.
They are starting to give out tickets, though. A friend of mine down in Missouri, she got on the freeway and got in the fast lane and drove in the fast lane for just maybe a minute or something, and they pulled her over for it.
Good for them.
Like you can't even drive even if you're going over the speed limit.
Here's a question for you. Have you ever seen anybody driving an inappropriate speed with lots of cars behind them between here and Girdwood get a ticket?
Not yet.
You haven't seen neither. I have seen that.
I've just been furious.
You have no idea how many cheers. People roll down their windows. They're like, yeah, you are awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, they pulled that guy over. Slammed him. I hope they got a big ticket.
That tourist will never be back.
Yes. all the little joys that we look forward to. Lots to cover. Malott says this: oil tax cuts are working.
Yes.
A Democrat says he voted wrong on one.
Well, he didn't quote unquote say I voted wrong.
But obviously that's what that means.
That is what he is implying. He's saying they are working.
They're working. We're getting more money in the Treasury
Something's
now.
Going right.
And so here's the real problem is at some point during the questioning, the Parnell administration came out and said, well, during this process of transition, we're going to be losing $2 billion a year. Why? How did that become a fact? Do you ever wonder about that? Because when I brought it up, you should have seen the clouds form on the governor's face. I said, but didn't it come from your administration? He said, exasperatedly, as I would imagine that he would, you've got to stop bringing that up. That's just not true. That's the way he said it. It's like,
I think it was even a little bit more forceful
It
than
was.
that.
It was.
I've never seen him get so
He got
upset.
animated.
Yeah, animated. That's a better
That's
word for
right.
it.
You're like, whoa, what happened here? the earth shake.
Everybody stood up at attention.
It was memorable. It
Yes.
was quite memorable. So Byron Malott, now running as lieutenant governor on the Unity ticket with Vince Beltrami and Bill Walker. And look, I think it's very fair for me to say that Vince Beltrami's on the ticket.
Yes.
It's got to be. And if it makes you uncomfortable for me to say that, you should call me and convince me that Vince Beltrami's not on the ticket. Because this occurred through Vince Beltrami essentially working the phones and promising money. Now, obviously, Walker thought he knew he didn't have any chance to win, so he had been working on Byron Malott to get them out. But Vince Beltrami's cash was the thing that sealed the deal. Because what he said was to the Democrats, obviously, we support you. We support your environmentalism. We support your union organizing and all that kind of stuff and your control over the state. But we're not going to support you with any money unless you partner up. So, to me, Vince Beltrami's on the ticket. Now, the one thing that we don't know, which is critical, and I really hope Walker has the strength to tell us. I don't know that he will, because I'm sure these were private discussions. Who was promised what? The Democrats would not have gotten off of this unless they were promised something, because the lieutenant governor literally has no power, almost no purpose. So what were they promised? And I don't know that. But anyway, back to this big story. Malott says oil tax cuts are working now. He had a debate with Dan Sullivan. No real aha moments. I didn't read any. It was a piece by Alex DeMarban. Sullivan says state budget is unsustainable. I thought Malot's recognition that we're going to be cutting was pretty surprising. We have two sets of gubernatorial candidates who say that they're going to be cutting the budget.
Right, both of them.
That the gravy train's over. You know that, by the way, the only time in state's history we've ever cut a budget was under Tony Knowles and a Republican-led House and Senate.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, up until the last 3 years when we did it under Republican control. But that was really from super high escalated budgets from the Democrat control.
But isn't it easy to say that you're going to do a lot of things, but then not
But
really
we're gonna.
follow it up with
No.
any actual plan?
Here's what I want to know from you when we come back, Bonnie. We got to go to break. You're listening to Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. 569-1080, that's the number, KOAN, KVNT. We're also video streaming online. We are also audio streaming online at KOAN, 1080 KOAN. Here's what I want to know when we come back. Is it evil? Is it part of my conservative evil streak that I'm really looking forward to us living within our means? And I want to, I do, because a lot of Democrats are absolutely convinced that if we do not have massive amounts of government support, expensive government support, then we just simply will stop functioning as a society, and I don't know that that's the case. We'll see. Stay tuned.
569-1080. Join the conversation. KOAN.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. Same-sex couples started filling out marriage license applications Monday, a day after a federal judge struck down the state's ban on gay marriage. Applications come with a 3-day waiting period, so the first legally recognized wedding in Alaska could take place as early as this Thursday. But the state has filed for an emergency order to try to stop gay marriage until its appeal is heard. A new report offers some insight about the challenges to health care delivery in rural parts of the state. That story from Ann Kendall.
The report, titled Alaska's Community Capacity Review, a statewide public health system assessment, mentions an aging healthcare workforce as among the challenges, as employees near retirement age and are not being replaced. The study called for more mentors to help correct that problem. It identified the northern and southwest regions of Alaska as the areas most in need of more healthcare providers.
That's your Hot Talk News update.
Sunshine and clouds this afternoon, high 43. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 27. Sunshine and clouds tomorrow, high 41. Wednesday night, low 29. Thursday, clouds and sunshine, high 43. And Friday, clouds and sun, high again 43. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
When you've got the best ingredients, the pizza comes out right. That's just what we're cooking for every appetite. Experience the flavor, call us right away. 24/7, it's a pizza party day.
October is National Pizza Month. Just hearing the word pizza brings a smile to almost everyone's face. And Sicily's Pizza wants to make you smile 5 times as big with their National Pizza Month special. Get as many as 5 medium 2-topping pizzas for only $9.99 each. Whatever style you like. For fast delivery, call 333-8000 and order the Sicily's National Pizza Month special. 333-8000 or order online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Just call Sicily's Pizza, 333-8000.
And I approve this message.
These negative ads are everywhere.
Yeah, I stopped listening and did my own research.
Yeah, what did you find?
Well, I found I really like Dan Sullivan.
Well, I know he served in the Marines for 20 years, and he'll fight against President Obama and Democrats in Washington to protect my Second Amendment rights.
And did you know when he was our Attorney General, he worked to put an end to violence against women, defended the constitutionality of Alaska's Parental Notification Initiative Act, and sued the federal government to stop Obamacare.
I like that. What else you got?
Well, as a veteran himself, he's dedicated to fixing the problems plaguing Obama's VA. and he'll fight to ensure they get all the benefits they've earned.
Dan Sullivan. I'm sold.
Me too.
Dan Sullivan, a principled leader for Alaska. Dan Sullivan for U.S. Senate. Paid for by Allen West Guardian Fund, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. AllenWestGuardianFund.com. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
It's time to earn your MBA at DeVry University's Keller Graduate School of Management. Keller professors share real-world experience so students graduate ready to advance in their careers. Get started with our merit-based Career Catalyst Scholarship with up to $8,000 for new students who qualify. Classes start October 27th. Full details at keller.edu/scholarships for students who qualify and start by November 2014. Subject to approval and availability of funds. DeVry University is authorized for operation by the THEC, certified to operate by SHED. In New York, DeVry University operates as DeVry College of New York.
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth.
Why, thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years.
I get scared at the dentist.
Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist for Dr. Kiley.
I know it's important to have good dental health.
And you look better with good teeth. And Dr. Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com.
Hold on, 2 bundles of starters.
Why is A&A the shop, Alaska's independent Subaru specialist? How is it they've been voted the best shop in Anchorage not once but 6 times? Well, it's pretty simple. They offer the best warranty in the business. If they work on your Subaru, you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on both parts and labor. That's unheard of. A&A the shop deals exclusively with Subarus, and they also offer $35 oil changes. All their technicians are ASE certified. Call A&A the shop for an appointment. 562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River.
Here's my good friend, Keith Monternock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give him a call, 569-1080. Kegel in the morning on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT 92.5 FM,
6:35 a.m. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, we are on the air. Lots of different signals to choose from. We video stream, we audio stream. We are everywhere. 569-1080, and Fagan is out this week. He'll be back next Monday. And so it's just you and me and Bonnie and Brian, the buzz. Buh. And I'd love to hear from you, 569-1080. Malat has said, I would say the unthinkable.
I had to read it 3 times.
What did you get the first time? What was going through your head?
The first time I thought he was saying the opposite. The second time I said, wait a minute, I did read that right. And the third time I was like, that's right.
Wow.
Now he's got it.
Well, and this is what will be so shocking, because I know that there were probably 30% of Alaska. Look, 20% of Alaskans just don't like the oil industry.
Yeah.
And so they really did want the oil industry to pay.
They want him to pay.
Yeah, they just or want them gone, maybe take it over as the state, I don't know. So, they have different weird ideas. But look, 30% of Alaskans were absolutely convinced there's nothing good that can come out of this law. Nothing. But here's the truth of it. This law was for 2 things. To protect our income at the low end, protect their income at the high end, and to incentivize new investment.
Mm-hmm.
That was the purpose of this law, not exploration, right? We were giving away $1 billion in, quote, credits for exploration, none of which was actually putting new drill rigs up on the North Slope. 5 new drill rigs. I think 2 of them had been deployed, and they're already turning new oil inside of existing fields. But they wanted that 40% top rate for new fields so that the billions of dollars that it takes in order to bring them online, they could do. Because if you're not going to, if you're going to get taxed possibly at 70 or 80%, like we were looking at, the 40% is a huge difference. So they wanted a lower future tax rate. And we wanted protection on the low end, so we went from a 25% base rate to a 35% base rate. But Byron Malott here is admitting, look, all of the advertising that was played for you that said this is a giveaway to the oil industry, this is the end of the state, we are much worse off, there's no way that this is fair. You are just finding out something that the rest of us who have been arguing on the other side of this, now this is what I hope happens. It should give you a little bit of pause.
Mm-hmm.
You were convinced. You were so sure, because I argue with people online all the time. They were absolutely convinced that everything that came out of my pen, everything that came out of my keyboard was a lie. Absolutely convinced of it. And it turns out even Byron Malott has to say, look, this protected the state of Alaska at the low end. And by the way, the low end, it's $100 a barrel is the low end. It's not $120 a barrel. I don't think we're going to see $100 a barrel again for a while. We're at 90 now. And what I read a piece today, and there's always paranoia about what goes on. Nobody can figure out, why is oil $100 a barrel today instead of $40 or $50 a barrel? Well, the only reason the United States is producing so much oil is because these fields and fracking and, the smaller fields, they're only productive at $70 a barrel. So when the Saudis and whoever our oil industry, people, however it is, the price is set, people decide that there's scarcity, so they run up the price, and then they bet on contracts and all that kind of stuff. It's very complicated. It's not simple. But the simple part is, if America can supply its own oil at $70 a barrel or $80 a barrel as a base rate, then the base rate needs to stay there. So I read a piece today where Saudi Arabia said they read the same thing, that America needs a $70 to $80 base rate of oil, and said maybe we ought to produce until it goes down to 60. And I don't know. I wonder whether or not, I don't think it will work, because I don't think Saudi Arabia can sustain that, A. B, there's a whole bunch of OPEC partners, Iran and Venezuela in particular, both exporting countries, who cannot possibly survive at that level. So there's going to be a fracturing of OPEC at some point if you try and run oil down too far. But I still don't think it would work, because America now has had 3 or 4 years where we've built new infrastructure, smaller pipelines, and started all these new fields up that they don't produce like the big fields, and nobody produces like Alaska. But I think it's a little too late. I think the cow's out of the out of the barn or whatever. What is it? Is it the cow out of the barn?
The cat out of the bag?
The cat's out of the bag. The pig's in the, I don't know.
Hi. Honestly, I don't think a good majority of Alaskans really know as much of what you just said. I, for one, was clueless. I knew it wasn't the big bad oil companies. I was thankful for them, but I wasn't sure of the numbers, any of the percentages, nothing like that. And so most people just don't have time for it. And that is why it's so important that we don't make law based on what we don't know.
Oh, the initiative process.
We should not be doing that.
Yeah.
That we have no place. If you're just all about the big bad oil companies, you have no right to vote.
Well, here's what's dangerous.
Maybe you have the right
if you're
to,
against
but you
the big
be.
bad oil companies, A, you are either never here, or you might be one of the 0.5% of Alaskans who lives a true subsistence lifestyle.
Well, most of the people
No
I
gas.
know lived off the government. They're retirees.
Well, then they may just not know.
Right.
I will explain it here. Alaska did not look anything like it looks today.
Mm-hmm.
There were dirt roads when I was born here, and I was born in 1968 in Anchorage. My parents actually lived in the city of Spenard, which was separated from the city of Anchorage by dirt roads. And it just didn't look anything like. There was about, 40% of the population. And Juneau was a much bigger deal. Juneau and Fairbanks were much bigger deals. Anchorage was sort of, well, yeah, you guys are like, you're okay. Because we only had, I think 100,000 people here.
Was Sears still a lake back then? I've heard there was a lake there at one time.
I didn't get to go downtown all that often, as I recall.
So that was downtown.
Yeah, that was.
Even though it's 2 minutes away now.
That was so far away. But here's the hard truth of Alaska. If we don't have a massive amount of oil production, people will have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
You will have to leave.
I will.
Most of the people who are listening to my voice will just have to pick up and leave, because the way Alaska exists and the way most northern socialist republics, of which I will count Alaska as one of them, and I say that with a lot of thought. We own the oil in concert. The government owns the oil on our behalf and distributes the benefits of that through government services largely and through a PFD in a teeny tiny amount. Basically, the PFD is about 1/10 usually the amount that's spent on government. So other people are getting 90% of your wealth from the oil industry, and you're getting 10%. I hope you're happy. But like most northern socialist republics, they don't make a lot of economic sense unless you have this huge industry. And our industry, if it wasn't powerful and strong, we couldn't live here. There would be 300,000, 400,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, I'll still be here." You'll be here paying $9 a gallon gas. You'll be here paying twice as much for food.
It's not going to be the same kind of lifestyle.
It won't be easy. No. And you may work off the government, but you'll still be poor at that point. 6:44 a.m. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Fagan's out this week. 569-1080. And Bonnie, Fagan's out this week. 569-1080.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Give him a call. 569-1080. KOAN.
Is your IT department burdened with first-line support calls about printer jams and broken printers? Are individual departments purchasing expensive printer cartridges that get buried in office supply budgets? Is your printer support strategy really a printer replacement plan? Let Alaska Enterprise Solutions show you how to reduce those high print costs. AES is a Xerox professional agency in Alaska with Xerox's worldwide support behind them. You can reach us at aesalaska.com or 561-5100.
In Washington, Mark Begich has voted with Barack Obama 97% of the time, adding trillions to the national debt, casting the deciding vote for Obamacare, and protecting Obama's executive amnesty for illegal immigrants. Alaska needs a senator who will fight back against Obama's agenda. As our Attorney General, Dan Sullivan sued to stop Obamacare and defended our Second Amendment rights. As Alaska's DNR Commissioner, Sullivan stood down Obama's EPA, unleashed new energy production, and created Alaskan jobs. Now Sullivan is running for the U.S. Senate to stop the Washington big spenders from bankrupting America. Sullivan will cut wasteful spending and support a balanced budget amendment. And Dan Sullivan is pro-life. He'll protect life while fighting to repeal Obamacare. Dan Sullivan, strong leadership for Alaska.
I'm Dan Sullivan. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sullivan for U.S. Senate.
There's a lot of so-called experts out there claiming to have the key to success in business for a price. Are you ready for real business advice you can trust without a fee? Then don't miss Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Advice from people in the know. Technology, finance, taxes, and more. Business people helping business people take their skills and services to the next level. Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN, 95.1 FM and 1080 a.m.
Hot Talk, KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com.
Yada. 647 KOAN KVNT 569-1080. The number here. You can check us out on 4 different signals as well as a live streaming broadcast and video broadcast. You can see what Bonnie's wearing every day. She's had to think.
No pressure.
You can't wear. What's the rule? You can't wear anything within how many days of having worn it before?
If you can't remember when you last wore it, that's my rule. If I can't remember when I wore it last, I'll wear it again.
So 3 days would be my rule.
Yeah. There you go.
I'd be like, when did I? I actually have to arrange my my shirts in my closet so that
There you
I
go.
only wear them once a week.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one I wore last I'll hang up on the right.
There
That
you
way
go.
I know.
Yeah,
Don't
and
take
then
that one.
You cycle them through. Now I wish.
That's a good idea.
Well, I wish I was just like Einstein. He wore exactly the same outfit every day. Not the same clothes, but he had like
just had the same
6 or 7 of the same shirt and 6 or 7 of the same pants.
Like
and
a uniform.
3 or 4. Yeah, basic.
Like a genius uniform.
That makes it sound
I don't
so
know. I'm not much into fashion.
juvenile.
Honestly, I really have never cared. I would be just as happy in sweats and a t-shirt.
You know, I don't think there's a giving up factor when you go out in sweats.
Well,
And a lot more people are doing that.
yeah,
See,
I mean, Alaska, you can go out in your PJs and it's okay.
yeah, it's not really okay.
No,
No, not really.
only if you're at Walmart.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
We're still a child.
There are people who do that, and the spandex generation.
Yes.
Are you talking about yoga pants?
Tight. Well,
Yeah,
no.
where people are like
Not even
overweight,
yoga pants
but then
anymore.
they've decided that they're going to wear their spandex.
Well, leggings. People just wear leggings anymore.
Do women know that they're actually nude when they're wearing leggings? Am I wrong on that, Brian?
No, actually.
Is this the greatest time to be a man ever? Women are
Well-
just walking around nude. You're like, hey, she's naked.
Yeah, if you
Isn't that
can hold your
interesting?
stomach, you know. I've been to Well, I work at Coots on the weekend, and
Oh boy.
I tell you what, there's some people wear almost nothing when they come in, and some people definitely should wear more.
What do you think about
and
that,
a lot
Brian?
of people leave with almost nothing. You know, most people do.
Yeah, I don't know, dressing up like a hoochie mama and going out to the bar. I don't know if that's a great thing I'd want my daughter doing, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
There must be some
it
drive.
keeps you in
though.
work, though.
Yeah.
There must be some drive. What are women looking for there, Bonnie, if you may speak for all women?
You know, I guess attention.
Attention.
Yeah.
Well, there you have total control over man. You totally have his attention.
I mean,
for
leggings
that.
are comfortable, so maybe they could be going after
Oh,
comfort.
yeah. Being naked is so comfortable. I've found that myself. Haven't you, Brian?
Well, and it helps you get free drinks.
Yeah.
I bet it does.
You know, I've gotten free drinks without wearing leggings. So.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, see, those girls don't have to do that.
Yeah.
But for some, it's an expression, which is cool. Some of the waitresses, they dress up in like outfits, which are great. But the regular customers, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, the waitresses are allowed to do it, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know that the memo has been passed out that, hey, you're naked. No, man. You know what I mean?
Leaves not much to the imagination.
Well,
that's
no,
for
it leaves
sure.
absolutely nothing to the imagination.
Yeah.
And
It's rough.
I mean, you do look better probably than you do naked with leggings on,
Yeah, it holds you in.
but you are naked.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
I
nothing.
guess I've never thought of it that way
Yeah.
before.
I mean, am I wrong?
Nothing wrong with a little modesty.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Modesty is the best
or a lot of
policy.
Well, and people started wearing underwear on the outside of their clothes, and then they stopped wearing
What?
the clothes, so they just started wearing underwear, just plain,
Yeah,
right?
or they pull their pants down to their knees so you can see their underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And
gangsta.
Yeah, I see that, and I'm like, what?
Oh,
So-
that's attractive.
I'm thinking Rain Man half the time.
So the other day, my mom was in Walmart,
Yeah.
and
Was she playing Walmart Bingo? Have you guys heard of Walmart
No,
Bingo?
what is we gotta that? try that.
All right, pick it up there, Brian.
Oh,
We'll find out. There's a Walmart Bingo out there.
so she was in the customer service line, and this lady in front of her was wearing full-on lion headdress, and it had a tail, like the whole body going down the back, and it had a tail, and then the woman started picking up the tail and like brushing it.
No.
And my mom was like, I am going to get out of here. The woman started talking to it. And my mom was, I said, Mom, you were totally on candid camera. Somebody was filming you just to see your reaction.
Now, what would have been funny is if somebody in a gazelle outfit
Yeah.
came in and started shying away.
Yeah.
Like, you're a little weird over there. I'm
He
going to get
said
my
people
gazelle out of
started
here.
dispersing rather quickly.
All right, so here are some Walmart bingo cards. Some of these are racially charged, so I didn't like that. The ones that I'd heard before. Someone wearing pajamas and bed slippers, obviously. Wolf boy.
Oh.
I think that means that their teeth are not proper. Not exactly sure. Man under 30 without any teeth.
So this is a game you play?
Yeah, you
and you try
actually-
to find these people.
Yeah, I found a card and I'm sharing it on the video.
Wow.
Walmart bingo.
Rebel flag T-shirt.
Hunchback. Not something you'd normally see.
Oh.
Uh-huh. Someone with throw up actually on their shirt.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Woman weighing over 300 pounds.
Here we go. Obese person using a scooter.
Oh, that's every time you go.
Every time you go, that's got to be a free one.
Yeah.
Kid riding a bike in the store.
Yep, every time.
Got to have that. Someone over 65 in a tank top.
Oh, yeah, just yesterday.
Pretty girl with a large hairy mole. That's got to be a little rare. Don't you think? That's the one that turns your stomach.
Here's the free spot. Someone oblivious to the fact that they're in your way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a given.
Yeah.
That's everywhere you go.
That's in the parking lot. Okay. Big news today. Malott says oil tax cuts are working now. This has got to be a shock for the 47, not all of the 47, but I'd say at least half of the 47% of people were convinced they were right. I was wrong. I could never be right because I'm a conservative, or I'm just a hack for the oil industry. And they couldn't get it through their mind that Sean Parnell could actually do something for the benefit of the state of Alaska. And in this case, the specific thing that he did, that you were going to have to put this into your experience. A lot of people just, I don't want to hear that, so I'm not going to include that in the things that I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that they go through life not having to try to work out, I don't like that fact, so I'm not going to deal with that
I'm just
fact.
going to ignore it.
I'm asking you to actually walk with me through a difficult, the valley of death here. And I know because your childish part of you has to die, right? I mean, that's how serious this is. That's how much of a crisis this should create in your life, because you were sure, as you argued with me. You were positive. You couldn't have been more right. I couldn't have been more wrong. Byron Malott, the guy running previously as the gubernatorial candidate for the Democrats, Mr. Democrat, admits that this tax law brings in more money, that it's working, that we are going to have more production, we are going to have more drilling rigs on the North Slope. You have got, something's got to break in you.
I want to know how much trouble he's in for saying that.
Well,
he had to have gotten some flack for saying it.
People should not get in trouble for telling the truth.
No, but Democrats do not like their own to admit anything.
No. Yeah, and there's under no circumstances are you to side with the other side if it makes you look bad, if it calls into question your motives, if it calls into question your retelling of the truth.
But he was being honest, and I love that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's very powerful because this debate, by the way, it's one of the strangest write-ups. Just as you go through it, it's from Alex D. Marban in Alaska Dispatch News today. Malott says oil tax cuts are working now. Sullivan says state budget unsustainable. Now, I don't know why Sullivan got tagged with that, because Byron Malott said the same thing. He said, look, we are going to have to cut. There's no way around this.
Well, they had to make it, exciting.
I guess so. I mean, they make it, I guess they both agree on both of those things. That's what's surprising. Something strange is going on here in the state of Alaska. And I don't know that I've quite put my finger on it. I agree with Dan in this, that we do have great opportunity here. We're essentially surrounded by Fort Knoxes with oil, with gold, with what are those special minerals that the rare earth minerals. So we're surrounded by all this wealth, Fort Knox after Fort Knox after Fort Knox, including our fishing and timber. Timber is a little harder because the environmentalists got us so sued into oblivion. But I look at Alaska and I see opportunity. And so I know there's something going on. And if we can start developing things, and we better get underway right away, because we're not going to have state money to cover the enormous amount of welfare that so many Alaskans have come to depend on. Now, what they will need, by the way, and this is great news, because there's a lot of good people in the state of Alaska. They're not going to need a bureaucrat anymore because we can't afford them. I mean, just think about how much more it costs for a bureaucrat to go to somebody's house and hand them food. You're paying the bureaucrat $60,000 a year. They're handing out $100 worth of food. You're wasting, in many cases here in the state of Alaska, I think the bureaucracy wastes 70 to 80 cents on the dollar.
It's amazing.
Now, not only are they wasting 70 to 80 cents on the dollar in the bureaucracy, but the cost for actually providing food that way, rather than going to, a church where they're not going to give you the nicest food, but they'll give you food that'll get you by.
Mm-hmm.
So even there, you're probably spending 3 or 4 times what you could get by on, which is what we're going to be looking for here in the state of Alaska. Jobs, jobs, jobs. That is coming up. You're listening to Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. 569-1080, 6:58 a.m. Magnitude 2.7 earthquake just detected near Anchorage. Stay tuned. 1080, 6:58, magnitude 2.7 earthquake just detected near Anchorage. Stay tuned.
Fun, treats, activities, and more at Trick or Treat Street in downtown
Alaska Women's Summit. The University of Alaska, Anchorage College of Health, U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski, and State Senator Liesl McGuire are calling on Alaska's brightest women to come together to work on finding answers to the toughest questions facing Alaskan women and families. Join us for 2 days, October 16th and 17th, focusing on building communities of change, self-advocacy, and removing the glass ceiling. Learn how empowerment and mentorship are vital tools in fostering successful young women. Presented by GCI. Also sponsored by SaltCheck, ConocoPhillips, and BP. Register online today, AlaskaWomenSummit.com. The 2014 Alaska Women's Summit. Come and spark your fire.
You're listening to Hot Talk, KOAN, Anchorage, AM 1080, and retranslated on 95.1 FM on K236CG, Anchorage.
Fox News right here. The prognosis is not good for anyone who gets Ebola. The World Health Organization says the death rate is 70%. Nearly 4,500 have died in Africa, as the number of suspected, probable, and confirmed cases is about 1,000 a week. But by December,
we anticipate the number of cases occurring per week by that time is going to be somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000.
WHO Assistant Director General Bruce Aylward says there's a huge need to better contain Ebola. The nurse infected in Dallas is stable. Nina Pham got a blood transfusion from American Dr. Kent Brantley, hoping antibodies from an Ebola survivor will help her. There are reports out of Syria. Kurds may be having more success battling ISIS terrorists trying to take control of a border town. Fox's Greg Palcott's nearby in Turkey.
This is looking and sounding very much like a real war. We have witnessed all day today the sights and sounds of the most intense barrage of U.S. airstrikes we have seen in our entire time here.
Now, President Obama will meet with defense chiefs from 21 countries today at Joint Base Andrews, talking strategy on how to beat ISIS. Caution from the feds about what those terrorists may be plotting here. Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern live in Washington.
A weekend bulletin sent to law enforcement across the country warns of lone wolf-style attacks targeting police, government officials, and media figures. The bulletin cites an ISIS spokesman speaking on an online forum last month, telling would-be attackers they don't need to ask for anyone's advice before an attack, while noting there is not a specific or credible threat against any U.S. target by homegrown terrorists. There is a warning to take additional precautions, noting ISIS supporters could conduct attacks with little warning. Dave.
Jared, foie gras will stay off the menu in California after the U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear a challenge to the state law that bans the sale of foie gras, a delicacy some people love, but critics decry because it's the fatty liver of a force-fed duck. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
You've been thinking about switching to solar. Don't wait much longer or you'll miss out on this year's federal tax credit. Move quickly because the tide is turning. Solar power is becoming a threat to big energy profits. In fact, some power companies are even pushing for extra fees to make up for lost revenue. Warning, you must have your solar system up and running by midnight December 31st or you'll miss out on this year's federal tax credit. Energy prices are expected to increase by as much as 40% in the near future. Go solar now with no down payment, interest, or payments for a whole year. You can afford it because we finance. Get your government money and save big every month. Big Energy is getting nervous and the door of opportunity is about to slam shut. Paying $150 a month or more on energy bills? Then call 1-800-MySolar now for a free in-home assessment. 1-800-MySolar.
My home, my savings, 1-800-MySolar.
TrailBoss Solutions is your local award-winning, nationally recognized construction and remodel firm. From handyman services to kitchen design and remodel to custom home construction, TrailBoss Solutions has the experienced professionals to take your project from initial design through completion, on time and on budget. TrailBoss Solutions is the only call for all your construction, design, and remodel needs. Please visit us on the web at trailboss-solutions.com or contact TrailBoss Solutions Direct at 646-1403.
There's more terrible news coming out of the Parnell administration. We know that Parnell stalled an investigation about sexual abuse in the Alaska National Guard for 4 years. Parnell stalled, and women suffered because of it. Now he's firing and rehiring generals all within a 24-hour period. Public information requests are being denied. Parnell may be Commander-in-Chief of the Alaska Guard, but his political needs are derailing the chain of command. It's the troubling pattern of the Parnell administration. Powerful interests receive attention, but ordinary Alaskans are not getting the attention they deserve. The more we learn about Parnell's inaction, the more troubling it becomes. It's time for a change.
Paid for by Alaskans for Walker Malott. This notice to voters is required by Alaska law. We certify that this ad is not authorized, paid for, or approved by the candidate. Top 3 contributors are Alaska AFL-CIO, Barney Gottstein, and Robin Brennan.
Do you remember that Beatles song? If the rain comes, they'll run and hide their heads. You know which one I'm talking about. Well, if that's you, and you're inside your home or office, it's time to call Earhart Roofing. Call Earhart Roofing for all your roofing needs. Flat or pitched, large or small, Earhart Roofing will do the job quickly, and they'll do it right. Earhart Roofing, big enough to serve you and still small enough to care. Call 345-5555. That's 345-5555.
Alaska's Energy, America's Values, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. EnergyandValues.com. Mark Begich is unbelievable.
Washington thinks it knows what's best for Alaska, and that's what I'm fighting against every day.
Fighting? Begich voted for all Obama's appointments, like Sally Jewell as Secretary of the Interior. Jewell immediately said no to exploration in Anwar and no to a King Cove road. Begich didn't fight Washington. He rolled over, like he rolled over for Obamacare. Now Begich is trying to duck and hide. On Obamacare, on oil taxes, on cap and trade, on the IRS scandal, even on Anwar. How can you deliver Anwar, Mark, when Harry Reid says a Democrat-controlled Senate will never allow an Anwar vote? Alaskans can't trust a thing Begich says. It's time to replace Malarkey Mark with U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan.
We're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KO.
$7:06 a.m. It is KOAN KVNT. Love to hear from you if you've got questions about not just legalizing, but because marijuana is largely legal in the state of Alaska, but commercializing it and what that will mean for our state. We have a guest here in studio, Jeff Jesse. He's with the Mental Trust and his normal job, but now he's with No on 2 Big Marijuana, Big Mistake. Jeff, welcome to Fagan, Biegel, and Monty.
Thanks.
Nice to have you in the studio, and I know this is a big question, and a lot of people are starting to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a vote coming up, and this is Proposition 2.
Correct.
And people will decide whether or not sort of the enacting legislation which will allow commercialization of marijuana and in just about any form across the entire state of Alaska, whether or not that will become law or whether or not we will stay with our current system.
That's exactly right.
So if we can walk through the arguments from the other side before we get to the arguments from our side, when you listen to their commercials, what is the message that they're trying to get across?
Well, a couple of things. The first one is they allege that because marijuana is supposedly safer than alcohol, it's safe. And therefore creating an industry to promote increased consumption isn't a problem because it's a safe product. Unfortunately, it's not safe. The other thing they argue is that you can regulate marijuana like alcohol But for a number of very important reasons, you can't, in fact, regulate marijuana like alcohol.
Yeah, how would you get like the THC content? Because haven't they been increasing this by crossbreeding and really doing selective breeding of this plant for quite a long time? So the marijuana of today is not very similar to the marijuana of, say, 1970. Is what I've heard.
Absolutely. I mean, back then we were talking 2, maybe 3% THC content. Now you're looking at marijuana itself with up to 20-25%, and the concentrates can go up over 90%.
Well, it definitely, people are going to push. I mean, I look at my kids, and whatever rules you set down, they go up to the rule, then they traipse across the line and see what you'll do. So I would expect that would be the case with legalizing and really commercializing marijuana, because there's like three different possibilities that the state could do. Right now, pot is largely legal in certain circumstances, home use,
correct,
medical marijuana,
right.
And we have very few arrests just for marijuana. Very few people in jail just for marijuana is what I've been told.
Yes, that's correct. Out of 3,900 inmates, about 19 are in for a significant just possession charge, and virtually all of those inmates would continue to be incarcerated under other charges.
So, and would they have been pulled in for just having one marijuana cigarette, or would it have been more like ounces or pounds or whatever?
Yeah, these are generally people that were in possession of a significant amount of marijuana.
Very, very serious crime. So, and that wouldn't be legal under the new laws either, or would it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you could possess a large amount of marijuana under this law. In fact, if you're a retail outlet, you could have hundreds of thousands of dollars of inventory.
Okay, all right. So that would be legal. So that would affect the 19 people who are in jail. So that's their argument here is, I mean, walk me through their argument one more time. They're trying to say, this is what is wrong with Alaska. This is where we want to go. Exactly.
They're using two Alaskan issues to try to use as a wedge to get this industrialization in place. One is, as you've mentioned, medical marijuana. That is an issue. There are about 1,900 Alaskans that have medical marijuana prescriptions. Then unless they grow it themselves or their primary caregiver grows it for them, you can't get marijuana to fill your prescription legally. That's a legitimate problem.
So there's a tension right now because a lot of people are procuring marijuana. I thought I read a statistic that around 18% of Alaskans use marijuana at least once a month.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. Have you heard a different statistic? I'm just trying to understand. We have one of the highest use rates in the country.
I think that's a fair statement. I think Alaska's probably near the top of the charts in consumption already without this industry.
So there's a tension right now in that we've legalized the use of it, but you don't really, unless you're going to grow it in your own house, you don't really have a way to get it legally.
That's exactly right.
Okay, and you see that as sort of a hole in the current law that if we could address that. You're thinking, though, that this new law, which we were passed, and I'm talking with Jesse, normally with the Mental Health Trust, but right now you're with No on Too Big Marijuana, Big Mistake, that this law is not the way to deal with the problem where people can't legally procure something that they're legally authorized to use.
Yeah, when I first heard about this initiative, I said, well, this might be okay. Maybe it'll deal with some of these issues. And then when I read it and realized, no, this is a Trojan horse, it's not designed just to fix those specific Alaskan problems. This is trying to export this outside industry to promote increased use of marijuana among all Alaskans, and we don't need another one of those.
They want to pass it to see what's in it first, right? It's one of those things.
Well, they know.
Or we don't, but the rest of us don't. The rest of us don't.
That's right. The rest of us don't understand exactly what we'd be getting into.
Right.
Now, there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable with people going to jail, and they've heard these stories for years and years and years. You got one marijuana cigarette on you, you're hauled off to jail, you're thrown away, and the keys, are tossed into a vat of acid. Mm-hmm. That is not what we're talking about, though. That experience is not what people have in Alaska.
No, you can ask law enforcement. They're not running around trying to find somebody with a joint in their pocket so they can take their time off the patrol and drive them down and book them into jail for a marijuana cigarette. That's just not the case. And to the extent that you want to decriminalize marijuana, it doesn't necessarily lead to this giant industry dedicated to promoting the use. I mean, in Denver right now, marijuana outlets outnumber McDonald's and Starbucks stores combined. If that's what we want Anchorage and the rest of Alaska to look like, then I suggest you're in favor of this. But we don't need that in Alaska.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. Aren't there a lot of different kinds of marijuana?
Well, there are tons of kinds of marijuana now, and the two that are most troubling under this proposal is the medical or the high concentrates and the edibles. I mean, that's another example of how you can't regulate marijuana, or at least this initiative doesn't regulate marijuana like alcohol. In the alcohol area, the only way to infuse edibles with alcohol is with powdered alcohol. Well, we made that illegal in Alaska, so that's why you don't see a lot of alcohol-infused edibles other than a few rum balls here and there. Now, what they're saying is, oh no, with marijuana, you're going to be able to extract that THC and place it into edibles and market it to Alaskans.
Talking with Jeff Jesse, he's with the No on 2 campaign, Big Marijuana, Big Mistake. So the 3 different levels of legalization that we could have are what we currently have, where it's basically legal for personal use, but it's difficult to buy.
Correct.
Which there's a tension there that needs to be addressed. There's decriminalizing it.
Right.
And then there is commercializing it.
Correct.
Which is, we're looking to go sort of to phase 3.
And that's the step too far.
Yeah. And now we'll talk more here with Jeff Jesse. Love to hear from you. 569-1080. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. And Fagan will be back next Monday. He's taking some time off. And Biegel, Bonnie, and Brian, the Buzz. We're just calling ourselves the Buzz, the Buzzsaw. And we will be back talking with Jeff Jesse. Love to hear from you. 569-1080, 714 a.m. 1080, 714 a.m.
There is in every true woman's heart a spark of heavenly fire, which lies dormant in the broad daylight of prosperity, but which kindles up and beams and blazes in the dark hour of adversity. The 2014 Alaska Women's Summit, the University of Alaska, Anchorage College of Health, U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski, and State Senator Liesl McGuire are calling on Alaska's brightest women to come together to work on finding answers to the toughest questions facing Alaskan women and families. Join us for 2 days, October 16th and 17th, focusing on building communities of change, self-advocacy, and removing the glass ceiling. Learn how empowerment and mentorship are...
Those concerns to Juneau. I'm disappointed that her opponent is willing to attack her and not stand on his own record. Kathy Giesel is someone I'm proud to work with, and with your support, she'll continue to fight for you.
Thanks, Anna. I'm Senator Kathy Giesel. I'm proud to serve with great Alaskans like Anna Fairclough, and I'm proud to be your voice in Juneau. I'll stand on my record and the work I've done in Juneau. From issues like healthcare, jobs, education, and a long-term fiscal plan to keep Alaska on the right track, I'm there for you. Paid for by re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel for State Senate, 12701 Ridgewood Road, Anchorage, Alaska, 99516.
You know, there are many people in Anchorage who have their own special place for gifts for occasions like Mother's Day or birthdays, anniversaries, whatever. Into Bell's Nursery and Gifts they go. And there's always something perfect. Bell's Gift Shop on Specking Road has a truly incredible selection of unique, creative gift ideas. Crystal, glass, and china and flatware, a wonderful kitchen section, candles, lotions and potions, and of course delicious Seas candies, and lots more. Great for browsing or finding that special gift. The Gift Shop at Bell's Nursery on Specking Road.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569-1080.
All right. You know, you may want to go back and keep practicing, Brian, your guitar.
Yeah, I don't know. We've got the player skipping on us for some reason.
Oh, is that what it was?
Oh,
I thought that was actually somebody.
I know.
No, we still have a record player in here.
Not it? He's out there.
That was a very strange choice of intro music.
The worst bumper music ever.
Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie here at 7:17 a.m. October 14th, and a mere 3 weeks away from the big election. And to say that things are heating up would be a massive understatement. In studio with us, we got Jeff Jesse, normally with the Mental Health Trust, and that's an organization that supports, I think, around 120 different organizations that try and help with a very serious problem of mental health in Alaska. But right now you're here with No On To Big Marijuana, Big Mistake. A lot of people are listening to this with different ears, and you'll catch, people who want to hear an argument about the kids. Other people will want to hear an argument about their roads. Other people will want to hear an argument about the commercialization of it. And I wanted to, I asked you off air, what do people not know? What do they still miss? Because we have talked about this here and there, and I think there's quite a bit of information out about it. You brought up advertising.
Yes.
And I had never even, I think I read the initiative, and I remember reading just briefly advertising, but no dots came into organization for me. So tie together the dots on advertising. If we commercialize and push out as much marijuana as possible, as is commercially possible here in the state, what does advertising have to do with it?
The only thing the proposition allows are what they call, quote, reasonable restrictions, unquote, on advertising. So, well, what's a reasonable restriction on advertising?
Yeah, that's kind of vague.
Yeah, well, now they allege that, well, you could even prohibit it under the regulatory process. But as a recovering lawyer, I can tell you that's just not true. I mean, there's a U.S. Supreme Court case, Citizens United, that says corporations are individuals too and have all the rights that individuals have. You can bet if we tried to do anything other than prohibit false advertising, there'll be a big lawsuit, and they'll say, hey, we have First Amendment rights. We get to advertise as much as we want. So what we'll end up with under this, in my opinion, is advertising all over the place. You'll see it in newspapers just like you do in Colorado. You'll see it in newspapers, on TV, radio. I mean, it may help your advertising bottom line, but you'll see that advertised all over. And again, this gets to the normalizing of this intoxicant as not just safer than alcohol, but safe. And then that starts to roll down into increased consumption, increased presence of marijuana in DUI address, where in Colorado they've seen a doubling of the involvement of marijuana in DUI arrests. And most important for a lot of us, you'll see kids' perception of risk of using marijuana go down. What we know is that kids are risk adverse to maybe a lesser extent than we would like, but they do assess risk. And right now, as the yes people will tell you, it's easier for kids to get marijuana than it is alcohol. But they don't use marijuana to the same degree they do alcohol because they still have a perception of risk. If you start advertising marijuana as the thing to do, then you're going to reduce that risk. And since 15% of people that start marijuana use as an adolescent become addicted, this is not a good thing for Alaska.
Yeah, I have my 13-year-old son. I asked him about it a few weeks ago. I asked him his thoughts on the subject because we hadn't really talked about it. And he said that if it was legal, he would be more likely to try it because it's okay then. It's legal as long as it's legal. But if it was illegal, he wouldn't even ever try it.
Yeah, the level of denial is really surprising. You know, they like to demagogue those of us that are against this and say, oh, you guys are back to reefer madness, and they throw out quotes where somebody 30 years ago said it leads to homosexuality. No, we're not prohibitionists, but what we don't want is a large-scale industry promoting the use of this to our kids. You know, you go to these public hearings and you try to just be honest about, look, yeah, 9% of adults that try marijuana get addicted. Is that as bad as methamphetamine or heroin? Well, of course not. But 9% is a lot of people. 15% of adolescents is a lot of kids. We don't need an industry promoting that.
Jeff Jesse with No On To Big Marijuana, Big Mistake here on Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, 569-1080. Any idea why Soros cares whether or not more Americans smoke more marijuana? Because I think that those are the, if I'm not mistaken, that's the experience in Colorado. More youth started smoking marijuana, which will lead to much higher usage in adults, and then the people who are already smoking it are smoking more of it because it's much easier to get.
Yeah, and one thing that I was hopeful when I first heard about this issue is, well, maybe if people have better access to marijuana, they'll drink less. Because, you know, God knows we got a big problem with alcohol. Unfortunately, the evidence doesn't support that. There is no reduction in drinking. People just smoke more marijuana on top of the alcohol they would normally consume. So you just get more people becoming more intoxicated.
Now, is marijuana and alcohol, do they mix well, or is it not a helpful mix? I'm not familiar really a whole lot with either.
Well, it's not a helpful mix in that the more intoxicated you get, then the more difficulty you have driving, your judgment's impaired. I mean, you know.
Any thoughts on my Soros? I mean, are you familiar with his? My understanding is he's helping fund the Yes On 2 campaign trying to commercialize marijuana.
Well, I can't speak for George Soros. I know that it gets caught up in this personal liberty issue, and gee, people ought to be able to make their own choices.
Yeah, but he's not real big on personal liberty in a lot of other cases. He's.
I don't know if he's invested.
All right, so
in
you're not sure. I ask everybody who comes in just because that fascinates me as to why some international globalist who does not seem to have a very good reputation or record wants marijuana to be commercialized. Big question on my mind. People in Colorado, they passed this law, and I think it passed 55-45. I've heard that they've soured on the reality of it.
Yeah, the governor just came out in the last week or two and said passing that proposition was reckless because now they're seeing the consequences of it. So, but I'll tell you, it's pretty hard to put the genie back in the box.
I think it would take 2/3 of both houses in Colorado to be able to strip this out because it's almost got a constitutional protection. So it took 50+1 to pass it. Now it takes 2/3 of each house to get rid of it.
Yeah, and we won't be able to do anything to this proposition for 2 years. So if this passes, by the time the legislature has a chance to look at it, it'll be well established and people will have invested a lot of money and time into building the industry, and you can bet they'll be in Juneau saying, oh boy, you can't change this now. We've got all this money invested in it.
And I'm with Jesse. He's with No on 2, Big Marijuana, Big Mistake. A lot of people are just thinking, look, marijuana is no big deal. And you guys, you know, people have got to just relax about it. You know, it's not something that people should get worried about. And I think there is, you know, I've sort of come to that uncomfortable position as well. But that doesn't mean that I want it commercialized and on every street corner. Am I wrong? Is there something wrong with me? Should I be more worried about marijuana and less worried about it being commercialized, or what?
Well, again, it's as risky as it actually is, as the science tells you it is. You know, is it as bad as alcohol? Is it as bad as methamphetamine or heroin? No, you can make a good argument it's not. But again, as you pointed out before, it's a huge leap to say, well, let's not keep this criminalized, let's not keep people with medical prescriptions from getting this, to going all the way to saying, oh, well, the solution to that is this large-scale industrialization.
Push as much of it out the door as you can. I've always been worried, by the way, that marijuana, you know, they've crossbred and genetically modified all kinds of stuff, and I do wonder whether or not Soros at some point is going to get in the genetically modified marijuana train and, you know, basically mix poppies with marijuana, you know, or something along those lines. How do we control that?
There's no telling where this industry goes in the future, you know, and one of the things they'll tell you is that somehow this is going to end the black market. You know, they like to say, well, marijuana's already here, the industry's already here, it's just, you know, the black market criminal element on the corner. Well, the experience in Colorado is that the black market doesn't go away.
They paid their taxes a time or two, and now they don't really do that anymore.
Well, you know, if you're taxing marijuana, it means the guy in the corner can sell it for less because he's not paying taxes. Mm-hmm. So the fact that somehow this is going to make all the black market disappear, we'll still be chasing the black marketeers around, but now we'll be chasing them around to protect the industry's financial interests instead of protecting our social interests.
Wow. Well, what a strange situation we find ourselves in. 60% of Coloradans now against this measure, and that's a 15-point swing, I have to believe that their best approach, the yes on 2 people's best approach is, let's just run the clock out. Let's just try to get people to vote for it before they find out what other people who passed it have found out.
Well, that's why one of the things we're telling people is, look, what's the big rush? You know, we have an opportunity here.
People aren't going to jail every day. We've already solved that.
People aren't going to jail every day. There's some interest now in looking at the medical marijuana issue. That's one good thing that I think bringing this issue up has accomplished, is people are going, whoa, you mean there's no way to legally get your prescription filled? Well, that might be a problem, but we don't need this.
Yeah. Sven, welcome to Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. You're on with Jeff Jesse.
Hey, how's it going? I had a question. I was wondering why you hadn't ever brought up the comparison between marijuana and cigarettes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that marijuana has 4 times as much tar as cigarettes. So that would be another health risk. Because I mean, I know a couple people that have died from lung cancer, and I would think if you have 4 times as much tar coming into your lungs and gumming up your oxygenation of your blood in your lungs, I would think that would be
It's certainly a health risk, and it's going to be a health risk for people who had smoked around. I appreciate it, Sven. Thanks. Do people just consider that marijuana, even though it's a plant and it's on fire, that it doesn't have carcinogens in it?
Well, I think that's part of the effort of the industry to minimize the actual risks. And if you try to bring up any actual risks, they try to pretend that you're just a reefer madness prohibitionist zealot, when all we're really trying to do is explain the facts.
Well, Sven, I appreciate the call. And Jeff Jesse with No on 2 Big Marijuana, Big Mistakes. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
You're listening to Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Fagan will be out this week, back in next Monday. So it's just Bonnie and Brian and Biegel. Next to Monday, so it's just Bonnie and Brian and Biegel.
Fagan and Biegel, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk.
From the Fox Business Network, stocks are showing gains as investors look over third-quarter earnings from several major Wall Street banks. JPMorgan Chase returned a profit but missed the estimate. CEO Jamie Dimon says more coordination between businesses and government is needed to fight the rising threat of cyber attacks. The bank says a data breach over the summer compromised customer information from about 83 million households and small businesses. Wells Fargo's earnings matched analysts' expectations, while Citigroup's results came in better than expected. Citi also announced that it's pulling out of 11 foreign consumer banking markets. And CME is eliminating jobs. The parent of the Chicago Board of Trade and other exchanges says it's cutting about 150 jobs, or about 5% of its global workforce, as part of a restructuring. And Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan are donating $25 million to the CDC Foundation to help fight the Ebola epidemic. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jolene Kent.
Hey guys, if you're into fantasy football, you've got to check out FanDuel.com. At FanDuel, you play in 1-week fantasy football leagues for real money with immediate cash payouts. You only play when you want, and you can change your team any week. FanDuel's paying out over $10 million every week this season. And right now, FanDuel is giving you up to $200 free. That's right. For every dollar you deposit, FanDuel will match it up to $200. Just go to FanDuel.com, click their microphone in the upper right corner, and enter code 5544. FanDuel.com, code 5544.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. Wedding planners were busy Monday, a day after a federal judge struck down the state's ban on gay marriage. Ann Kenda explains.
Same-sex couples were already waiting outside when state offices opened at 8 a.m. on Monday to apply for marriage licenses, something they said they'd been waiting for years or even decades to do. Potentially, weddings could take place Thursday, which is the earliest day after the customary 3-day waiting period. But the state is making emergency moves to appeal, and there could be further developments between now and then.
Family and friends will say a tearful goodbye today at the funeral for longtime public radio music host Marvel Johnson. He was killed last week at the age of 64, allegedly by a teenage foster son who reportedly was angry about being grounded for using the synthetic drug Spice. That's your Hot Talk News update.
Sunshine and clouds. This afternoon, high 43. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 27. Sunshine and clouds tomorrow, high 41. Wednesday night, low 29. Thursday, clouds and sunshine, high 43. And Friday, clouds and sun, high again 43. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
When you've got the best ingredients, the pizza comes out right. That's just what we're cooking for every appetite. Experience the flavor, call us right away. 24/7, it's a pizza party day.
October is National Pizza Month. Just hearing the word pizza brings a smile to almost everyone's face. And Sicily's Pizza wants to make you smile 5 times as big with their National Pizza Month special. Get as many as 5 medium 2-topping pizzas for only $9.99 each. Whatever style you like. For fast delivery, call 333-8000 and order the Sicily's National Pizza Month special. 333-8000 or order online at sicilyspizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Just call Sicily's Pizza, 333-8000.
When I grew up, I want to be a pro basketball player.
An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian.
A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything. From auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Here's my good friend, Keith Monternock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
Hot Talk, KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com.
The day the earth stood still. You know, you can put this on your calendar. Byron Malott said that Senate Bill 21 was better for the state than ACEs.
Reluctantly.
Reluctantly.
He said that reluctantly.
But look, the truth is very powerful, and I do think that should change your lives, and I hope that it does as people start to understand that a lot of the argument that they were fed was not true during the Senate Bill 21 debate, and we have to come. Should give a lot of people pause, a lot of people who were out on blogs and arguing this. Let me give you something else that should give you pause. If you are not properly prepared for difficult times in life, say you lose your job, or say your house burned down, or you got into a car accident, if you're not protected against those, they can turn a life that has been lived properly into a life which just doesn't add up anymore. You can't pay bills. You can't defend and protect your family. So Country Financial is there for you, and Mike Daniels and his team. He's got 5 locations here in Anchorage. I spent a couple hours at them. They walked me through a process and asked me questions and showed me that I really, in some circumstances, I was not doing what was best for my family. And that if I wanted to have a retirement, I was going to have to do things different. I was going to have to make different decisions and different choices. Questions I would have never asked myself. The professionals there, they will make a difference in your life. They will change how you live today and what you're protected against and how you live in the future. Country Financial, Mike Daniels, his team, 5 locations here, 5 out in the valley, 13 across the whole state of Alaska, from Kenai all the way up to Fairbanks. Just a great group of folks. And it is 1866 Country, and country is spelled
COUNTRY.
Thank you, Bonnie. Appreciate that. Lots of news rolling out. Have you seen this, that Alaska Airlines is fingerprinting people to get into their boardroom members? Apparently that's the fancy pants area that Alaska Airlines provides for, like, gold, platinum.
So you have to provide a fingerprint, or they're doing it as a service for their
Alaska
members?
Airlines boardroom members, and I take it that boardroom is all capitalized so that it's not the actual lowercase boardroom, but these are members of some special Alaska Airlines club, can now scan their fingerprints instead of showing identification to enter the company's member-only lounge at Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport.
So it's just a upgrade. It's technology now.
All right. Is this an example of the way that we don't see our privacy as the same as it used to be?
Well, now you've got it on your iPhone.
People out.
The iPhone now.
But it's my iPhone.
It's a security, maybe a security.
Where do you think those fingerprints go, though? Really?
Really, honestly.
Come on.
You know that they do. They want blood samples and fingerprints more and more and more. The NSA and Homeland Security and all these people, they're trying to get your blood sample and your fingerprints for people who have committed no crimes. You don't see
what have
this
you got to hide?
I know. What have you got to hide, Mr. Biegel?
Give up some of your security for.
Well, isn't it easier to just
give up
pull
your
out your
freedom
finger,
for some security?
Than your ID?
Oh, what is it now?
Isn't it easier just to pull up your finger than your ID?
Yeah.
And I've been in those boardrooms.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I mean, you can actually pay.
Is it like going into the women's bathroom that until you've gone in there, you don't really know what's in there?
No, it's sort of like going into a little restaurant, and you have nicer, more comfortable chairs you can plug in. You can get your Wi-Fi.
Okay.
They've got like free papers. They'll give you juices and snacks.
There's not several people with Ebola wandering up and down the aisle.
You can chill out half the day and rest. It's better than the regular airport.
That's pretty bad, Glenn. We're like, what's it like, Brian? What's it like
no,
inside
you can
that
pay like
boardroom?
$50 and get a one-day pass or something.
Yeah,
$50.
I'm not
But I
paying
think it's
anymore.
I think it's only $250 a year. If you travel a lot, it's worth it.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, my friend took me in. I didn't have my own membership.
Oh, okay. You didn't have to admit that.
Let's just be honest here, Brian. You weren't legally allowed to go in there, were you?
No, I was. I could have paid the money. I just wouldn't have.
$50 a day.
Glenn, all you'd have to do is just go, don't you know who I am?
Don't you know who I am? Are you a Palin?
Yeah, I figure I can eat drink $50 worth of soda and crackers.
Yeah.
Then I'm good.
So it's free in there?
I like
Once you get in
Brian
there?
more and more.
Wow.
I like you more and more.
Oh.
I mean, it's my kind of person who would think, how much crackers and soda pop can I actually get out of this place?
Yeah.
That's right. Well, they have beer and wine and all that.
Oh, they have
too.
fancy stuff
Yeah.
too.
Is that extra?
No, you just tip.
Wow.
You get
that
drunk.
might be
You're
worth
in the
$250.
boardroom. Yeah.
Do you have to fly to go in there? I'll just go in there and sit.
Well, yeah, you have to fly to get past security.
That'll be my
You're not going to make it past
vacation.
security, Bonnie.
Yeah,
You
they
got
wouldn't let me into
little or
Chili's.
no chance. Yeah, like we didn't scan your fingerprint properly. Could we
Right.
get another finger of yours?
Yeah.
Not that finger.
Yeah.
There's another one.
We've already got that one.
Mm-hmm. Now, how long do you think it'll take for this to be undone? I have a feeling that the days of city-controlled taxi cabs are coming to a swift and serious demise. Judge sides with city in a decision allowing Uber to offer only free ride sharing.
Oh, so no money involved.
If you've got a business license, I guess you can pass laws to do just about anything. I just don't think that this is going to, I don't think it's going to hold up. Technology has gone past people.
They're so afraid of competition, though.
Well, we never used to be able to do this, so we've never come up against this before, where so many people were tied in with their smartphones, and the internet's so powerful and it's everywhere. So the idea that you could have your own dispatching station that would allow you to dispatch to every city in the entire country just as easily as it is to dispatch, or easier than it is to call up a dispatch station here for AAA cab or whatever. I don't even know if there is. Is there a AAA cab? Am I close?
So. Yeah. Orange. And
well, good.
yellow.
We'll go with AAA cab. I think there's AAA towing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could probably get a ride from AAA towing. If
It
you're
might
like,
cost you $250, but yeah,
could you tow my car too?
it's working. But
so anyway, we've never come up against this before, so this is really new. And these are the kind of changes that technology is forcing upon people, where it used to be very simple. We wanted a safe, a well-known, and a well-regulated tax cab industry because people get shot doing it. You're at bars, you're picking up people who you have no idea who they are. They're in whatever state, having smoked or drank whatever it was, and they want to ride. You know, does this sound safe? Well, not really, but taxi cabs have to pick up everybody. With Uber, you don't. You know, you can look at the person's profile. They have to fill out a profile. You have to fill out a profile. You've got a lot more information about that Uber driver than you had about any taxi cab driver.
Yeah.
So you have to have a good driving record.
and where does personal responsibility enter into all this?
Well, that's
They're not forcing you to call.
right. That's where we're headed. We're headed into this total new world where it really can be up to the person to decide, I trust Uber more than I trust your cab driver, because frankly, some people have been assaulted from cab drivers.
Right.
If they were in a
Right.
a wiped out enough state. So anyway, I don't think this will stand. I think the days of this is my taxi, take it or leave it are over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of time. I don't know if we'll have to change people out in the assembly, and I don't know whether it'll be liberals or conservatives who will back up the one-size-fits-all taxi-only riding. 7:44 a.m., Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Fagan will be back next Monday, so it's Biegel, Bonnie, and Brian, the Buzz. Stay tuned. Bonnie, Fagan will be back next Monday, so it's Biegel, Bonnie, and Brian, the Buzz. Stay tuned.
Join the conversation. KOAN.
This is Dr. Ellenberg. Are you tired of taking medications? Do your medications create more side effects than solutions? Do you want more than 15 minutes with your doctor? If you answer yes to those questions, you should consider calling the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine. At our center, we take the time to listen and focus on finding the cause of your health problems. Whether you have a cold, high blood pressure, diabetes, or cancer, we can help. Call the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine at 563-2366 or visit us online at drellenberg.com. We can help.
In Washington, Mark Begich has voted with Barack Obama 97% of the time, adding trillions to the national debt, casting the deciding vote for Obamacare, and protecting Obama's executive amnesty for illegal immigrants. Alaska needs a senator who will fight back against Obama's agenda. As our Attorney General, Dan Sullivan sued to stop Obamacare and defended our Second Amendment rights. As Alaska's DNR Commissioner, Sullivan stood down Obama's EPA, unleashed new energy production, and created Alaskan jobs. Now Sullivan is running for the U.S. Senate to stop the Washington big spenders from bankrupting America. Sullivan will cut wasteful spending and support a balanced budget amendment. And Dan Sullivan is pro-life. He'll protect life while fighting to repeal Obamacare. Dan Sullivan, strong leadership for Alaska.
I'm Dan Sullivan. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sullivan for U.S. Senate.
It's time to earn your MBA at DeVry University's Keller Graduate School of Management. Keller professors share real-world experience, so students graduate ready to advance in their careers. Get started with our merit-based Career Catalyst Scholarship with up to $8,000 for new students who qualify. Classes start October 27th. Full details at keller.edu/scholarships. For students who qualify and start by November 2014, subject to approval and availability of funds, DeVry University is authorized for operation by the THEC, certified to operate by SHED. In New York, DeVry University operates as DeVry College of New York.
Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online.
Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, 7:47 a.m., October 14th, 3 weeks away from the big dust-up, the big election. It is on its way in, and we have some decisions to make. Minimum wage, and it looks like they're going to be pushing the minimum wage at the federal level.
And you wouldn't want to say no to fish.
No to fish.
For ballot measure 4.
No to fish, that's right. That was in the paper today that Byron Malott, one of the things that he got caught on was, I'm not against shutting down any other mining projects, it's just this one.
Because it sounds good.
Because it sounds good. You know, the idea that a mine is capable of polluting an entire set of streams. It's just not possible. They don't make mines that way anymore. They don't leave the cyanide in the pond. So they don't do mining that way, and a lot of people just don't know, and they basically have this idea that this is the way mining works, and mines are always dangerous. They do them just like they do them over in Eastern Europe, which we don't. We wouldn't even permit the one that just broke in Canada, and that looked really bad. It wiped out a bunch of trees, but it didn't increase the toxicity level of the water at all past its historical amount.
Yeah, you don't go drinking out of rivers usually. So, and that was pretty much almost drinking water standard.
Yeah, it was drinking water standard. They cleared it for drinking water within 2 days after the dam broke there. Anyway, I thought Sullivan did a good job of addressing that. He said, you know, once a dam has been cited as having a problem, which they cited it back in 2010 and 2011, I think, he said, you're not allowed to continue to operate the dam. You have to change. Anyway, let me go to the phones here, 569-1080. And Tom, welcome to Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
And good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
You were just talking about Uber and the taxi cab industry.
You see this going the way of the dodo here? They're not going to control these, are they?
Well, it's time maybe to go back to the free market in Anchorage.
Whoa, radical.
Well, in a lot of areas we already have. Like I have a business.
Yeah.
And I have to have a business license and a state business license, and that just goes on and on. What I have to do to stay in business, but there's other industries that don't have to follow any of the rules, such as the coffee carts. They don't have to follow any of the landscaping rules, the zoning rules, and if you go into the municipal code under Title 10, there's a whole bunch of businesses that are regulated by the clerk's office. But the clerk's office hasn't had a code enforcement officer for several years. So if you fall under those businesses and you've decided that you just don't really want to follow the rules, nobody's going to make you follow the rules.
Could you get turned in by your neighbor if you weren't following the rules? Is that kind of what they're expecting?
Yeah, except that
like
with the coffee carts, right? If I start a business and I'm in a regular brick and mortar store, I have to follow a lot of rules. But if I'm in a coffee cart,
the same business walking down the street in a coffee cart,
you don't have to follow almost
not all the extra oversight, the extra rules, the extra cost.
Right.
Well, what's the answer here? Because it's pretty obvious that AAA cab, not that there is one, they probably are going to have a difficult time competing with Uber.
Oh yes, and and there's a lot of other areas too, like business personal property tax in Anchorage. If you have a store with inventory, you pay business personal property tax. But the Anchorage Assembly over the years has exempted an awful lot, or they haven't really exempted them. They've just looked the other way for a lot of other industries. And, so we have all of this market regulation. And if you happen to have friends in the right places, you don't have to follow the rules. So at some point, either nobody follows the rules or we do away with the rules. And I think, like with the cab industry, we have a horrible cab industry here in Anchorage. I mean, it's really bad.
It's very close. A lot of very poor people who rent their license to operate the cab from a millionaire who lives in Hawaii.
Right. And, so you pay $75 for the right to drive the cab for 12 hours. And if it happens to be a slow day, you'll lose money. And the Anchorage Assembly over the years has set up these rules so that only some people can make money and the rest of us suffer because of it, because a cab driver that's making $6 an hour maybe, he can't afford to give the kind of service that we would like to have. And like you said, the guy in Hawaii, he doesn't care about us. So maybe it's time to look at that industry and say, do we really care about the few people that own the medallions?
Well, I have a feeling that they're going to say that we don't care, that the people of Alaska. I don't know. It does take time for people to sort of work through this. I didn't really think they landed a whole lot of blows in the article. Did you read the article?
No.
It basically just walks through the fact that this judge sided with the municipality and said, you are not allowed to charge for a ride. If you do, you are de facto in fact a cab company, and thereby you're regulated under this one title under municipal code. The problem is that everybody knows that cabs are way more expensive than an Uber ride is likely to be.
Right.
And you don't, you may actually have less time and an easier time getting an Uber ride than getting a cab ride.
Right. It's
because
competition.
The Uber ride could be right next to you. He could be your next door neighbor, could be an Uber driver.
An Uber driver,
right? And so anyway, it's just very difficult to try and work through these things, and I do think that this is we're not going to see a regulated cab industry here shortly, or that cabs will also be Uber drivers too, something along those lines. Let me go to the phones here, and Chris Birch is with us, an assembly member, and you are heading up the Yes on One campaign to keep Anchorage Ordinance 37.
Good morning, Glenn. We absolutely are. And I kind of like that Uber, too, by the by.
Yeah, the technologies that are available to us and the benefits for the average person are just undeniable. So it's going to be very hard to hold this back. Tell me, Anchorage Ordinance 37, if you'll just give us a couple of highlights, maybe some of the things that just about everybody would agree with it, and then some of the things that unions particularly have a difficulty with.
Well, I think the fact that it limits our contract terms to 3 years rather than 5 years, which we had seen in the past, the recent past.
Well, even 6 years. Clayman extended the contracts for 6 years.
Yeah, and so a 3-year limit on contracts our public service employees provide is, I think, is very reasonable. It also standardizes benefits. We were at a point at one time where we had 680 different benefit packages, and across these 9 city employee unions that impact some 3,000 plus employees, and the administration has actually negotiated 7 out of 9 contracts under the provisions of AO 37. So it's certainly working, and we think a yes vote on one will provide for lower taxes in the future, because it provides some limits on that compensation growth that we've experienced over the past at double the rate of inflation.
Now, what are they particularly worried about? Because whenever I hear their arguments, they don't really sound like I think they're talking about scheduling, and whenever they talk about scheduling, I'm thinking of a $260,000 policeman. Like, your scheduling ended up resulting in a policeman that's paid $260,000. I don't think I want you to schedule.
Yeah, scheduling is typically a management right, and there's always give and take with employees and management. But the scheduling, the equipment assignment, and that seems to be a big sticking point. But we need to preserve to the fire chief or the police chief the ability to staff and resource their people and equipment. I mean, that's basically what you hire leadership for is that type of work. And I think that seems to be the big pushback. But the big issue is lowering costs of lowering taxes. And when you go door to door in the assembly, you talk to people and you find folks on a fixed income, they're worried about losing their homes. And what we need to do is we need to be able to manage those tax increases. And when most of your cost is in labor, it's absolutely essential to put some sideboards on those increases, so you don't have these $300,000 employees in the city. I mean, it needs to be better management tools through the contracts is essential.
I've been having lots of debates with friends of mine and people on Facebook about this issue. And all I hear is that the morale is down, there's not enough officers, safety is being compromised, and that I need to just go along on a ride-along, and then I'd understand it.
I think the important aspect to look at here is 7 out of 9 contracts have already been negotiated. I've gone to 3 or 4 debates, participated in a number of them. I have yet to see anybody other than a fireman or a policeman show up. And in my book, these labor contracts cannot be sacred cows. I mean, we have to have a full and fair discussion on the issues surrounding these labor contracts. And you can respect and honor and the good work that our police and fire do, and still have an open and fair discussion. That didn't happen in 2008 when we had draft contracts approved and rammed through by the former mayor. And at great cost to the city. And so what AO 37, it prevents that type of abuse from happening as we go forward. But, the fact is there's a lot of fear-mongering going out there. If AO 37 is retained, if we keep it as law, there's still going to be, people are going to answer the 911 calls. They're still going to, respond to fires and burglaries.
Hey, Chris, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much, and hopefully we'll be seeing you at the debate on Friday, UFL debate. And
you bet.
Good luck. Yes on 1.
Yes on 1. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
Good luck. Yes on 1.
Yes on 1. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
There is in every true woman's heart a spark of heavenly fire, which lies dormant in the broad daylight of prosperity, but which kindles up and beams and blazes in the dark hour of adversity. The 2014 Alaska Women's Summit, the University of Alaska, Anchorage College of Health, U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski and State Senator Liesl McGuire are calling on Alaska's brightest women to come together to work on finding answers to the toughest questions facing Alaskan women and families. Join us for 2 days, October 16th and 17th, focusing on building communities of change, self-advocacy, and removing the glass ceiling. Learn how empowerment and mentorship are vital tools in fostering successful young women. Presented by GCI, also sponsored by Saltchuk, ConocoPhillips, and BP. Register online today, AlaskaWomenSummit.com. The 2014 Alaska Women's Summit. Come and spark your fire.
Listen online at 1080KOAN.com. Hot Talk 95.1 FM, 1080 AM. KOAN, Anchorage.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. 7 out of 10 people who get Ebola in West Africa are dying from it. Nearly 4,500 deaths so far.
To stop Ebola, you've really got to have great contact tracing in place, same-day isolation, all of those pieces that you know about. And those pieces are not systematically in place.
The World Health Organization's Dr. Bruce Aylward says by December, there could be as many as 10,000 cases per week if containment isn't ramped up more quickly. Doctors Without Borders says 16 of its staff members have been infected with Ebola and 9 have died. An infected nurse remains in stable condition in Dallas, where Fox News Radio's Evan Brown is live.
Lisa, 26-year-old Nina Pham remains in isolated care here in Dallas in stable condition at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital, where she works and where she took care of Thomas Eric Duncan, the now deceased Ebola victim, along with about 70 of her colleagues who are all now being watched for signs of infection. Meanwhile, the University of Kansas Hospital is now caring for a suspected Ebola patient. Lab results are due back this afternoon, Lisa.
Evan, thanks. President Obama will huddle with a room full of defense chiefs about fighting ISIS. Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Lisa, a few hours from now, the president will sit down with U.S. and foreign defense chiefs at Joint Base Andrews. They're expected to talk about ways to bolster the campaign against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. More than 20 nations will be represented. Meanwhile, Homeland Security is warning U.S. law enforcement officials about possible lone wolf attacks targeting police, government officials, and members of the news media. In a precautionary security bulletin, the Fed said there's no credible or specific threat at this time. Lisa.
And Rachel, Iraqi officials just confirming that a Shiite lawmaker is among 23 dead in a suicide bombing at a Baghdad checkpoint. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
You've been thinking about switching to solar. Don't wait much longer or you'll miss out on this year's federal tax credit. Move quickly because the tide is turning. Solar power is becoming a threat to big energy profits. In fact, some power companies are even pushing for extra fees to make up for lost revenue. Warning, you must have your solar system up and running by midnight December 31st or you'll miss out on this year's federal tax credit. Energy prices are expected to increase by as much as 40% in the near future. Go solar now with no down payment, interest, or payments for a whole year. You can afford it because we finance. Get your government money and save big every month. Big Energy is getting nervous and the door of opportunity is about to slam shut. Paying $150 a month or more on energy bills? Then call 1-800-MY-SOLAR now for a free in-home assessment. 1-800-MY-SOLAR.
My home, my savings, 1-800-MY-SOLAR.
Trail Boss Solutions is an Alaskan-owned, nationally recognized top 500 construction and remodel firm. From our handyman services to our award-winning kitchen design and remodel, Trail Boss Solutions is fully licensed, bonded, and insured, and has the experienced professionals to take your project from initial design through completion on time and on budget. Please visit us on the web at trailboss-solutions.com or contact Trail Boss Solutions direct at 646-1403.
911, please hold. 911, please hold.
Anchorage has 80 fewer cops on duty than it did 5 years ago, even though the city is bigger. More people, less coverage. Emergency vehicles get pulled from the hillside or Eagle River to cover Midtown when there are multiple accidents or ambulance calls. And that may mean a much longer response time for somebody who needs help. AO37 removes police and firefighters from the discussion about staffing and equipment. Their experience is ignored, replaced by someone who doesn't understand what swiftwater rescue means to Eagle River or what rigs are best for hillside roads in winter. Vote no on 1. Let's stop playing politics with public safety. This message is paid for by Repeal 37 and approved by former Police Chief Walt Monaghan and former Fire Chief Craig Goodrich, chairs. Top 3 contributors are APDEA, Anchorage Firefighters, and AFSCME International of Washington, D.C.
All my life, I've enjoyed hunting and fishing, but as I got older, it made it harder to enjoy the Alaskan outdoors. Thanks to Chugach Chiropractic, I'm back on the stream enjoying Alaska.
Besides aligning the spine, we also deal with the musculature and the nervous system of the body. To do that, we not only adjust the spine, but we also bounce muscles along with various therapies and deep tissue therapy. We help bring the body back to normal function.
When Malarkey Mark Begich ran for U.S. Senator, he made a lot of claims about his record as Anchorage mayor. Begich knew the truth wouldn't come to light before the election. But now, history is caught up with Malarkey Mark. Under Begich, Anchorage taxes went up 27%. Under Begich, the city budget ballooned, a $142 million increase in spending. Under Begich, the city was saddled with unprecedented 5-year union contracts. Under Begich, a deficit of over $20 million was left for the next mayor to deal with. Begich left Anchorage in serious trouble. Alaska's Energy, America's Values paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. It's time to replace Malarkey Mark with U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. energyandvalues.com.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give him a call, 569-1080. KOAN.
8:06 a.m. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie here with you. And Fagan is out for the week. He'll be back with us on Monday. Let me tell you about the place to call if you're looking to put a roof on your house, on your business, your commercial property. It doesn't matter. They can do any kind of roof. They did roofs all over the state of Alaska. I'm talking about Earhart Roofing. They have an amazing record, 42 years in the business. And I've had Frank on the program several times. And it's so funny because he knows exactly what just about every roof situation is. He can explain it. It's like listening to a mechanic, but for your house. Mm-hmm. And so having that as part of the team over there at Earhart Roofing just a comfortable hand. His son James taking over the business nowadays, or more and more of it. You can give them a call, 345-5555. The best technology, that can give you a 50-year warranty on your roof. And that's only possible these days because technology has gotten better and better and better with roofing products, and so now they can offer that. Give them a call, 345-5555, Better Bureau Business of the Year, Earhart Roofing, and the people to call if you are looking for roofs on your property. Lots to cover on the program still. We're going to have somebody from United for Liberty who has a request to the public. If you are no on one, if you want to get rid of Anchorage Ordinance 37 and go back to 5-year contracts, you need to get in touch with him. He cannot find all the leadership of no on one. The union bosses have abandoned their posts. They have abandoned their ship. They have left the bridge. They're gone. They're not returning his calls. He's even gone to the assembly members who actually literally passed these contracts. You would think if there's anybody out there who would say, yes, I voted for this. I'm going to stand up for what I've done. I'm going to, this is part of my job, is to be able to explain to the public what I did, why I did it, and why it was the right thing. Even L.V. Gray Jackson is backing away. She's not responding.
Well, all these people are so sure of their stance on it. I'm surprised. I mean, there's such passion when they talk about it, but really, it's just talking points, and it's fear-mongering.
Well, what do they say? Do they actually come out and say that we'll have a less safe city if we have police that we can afford?
They're saying that they're hurting right now. There's not enough officers on the streets. They hate Mayor Dan Sullivan. I mean, the hate spewing forth from good people's mouths about that man is ridiculous, and you know where it comes from. It just comes from the union, from what they've heard.
Yeah, their tribe. Look, you got to admit, human beings are very comfortable having their own tribe because it helps set your environment. It helps set your horizon. We are arraigned against this person. Why are we fighting them? I don't know. They live over there, and we live over here, and this is our tribe, and that's their tribe, and every once in a while they'll wander into our territory. Gangs set up the same way. A lot of times the people who are in the tribe, by the way, they have no power over who they're fighting. That it's the clan leaders who determine we're at war with this other clan. Well, B, they have no idea why they're at war with Clan B, and I would be willing to bet you that not a single person can call me up and tell me, I know of 2 or 3 things, but I'd be willing to bet you that the people who are actually in this fight, they don't even know why they're in the fight. I know of 2 things in AO 37 which they really want changed, and which probably 50% of people in Anchorage will want changed if they understood it. So it's not that they're wrong on every point. It's not that AO 37 could pass public muster in every case. There are at least 2 things. One of them, by the way, is the right to strike is taken away.
Which public employees should not be allowed to strike?
Well, that was the position of Mayor Sullivan, and that's the one thing where I think a lot of the unions say, look, if we are organized and we want to strike, screw you in your city and, your public services, which I don't really get, by the way. I mean, I have to admit, there are parts of life that I don't get, and you're listening to Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. I'd love to hear from you, 569-1080. One of them is, I don't like the way you're treating me as an employee. Therefore, it's my right to shut down your business.
Right.
Like, who the heck do you...
That's right.
Who do you think you are?
I don't understand striking.
And not only that, let's go one step further. I don't like the way you are treating me in these contracts. I'm not going to go get another job. I'm going to shut down your city.
It's holding the Anchorage taxpayer hostage.
Well, who
Give
gave
me
you
money
that
or
right?
else.
It's just the strangest thing. Literally, I do not understand that. If you don't like who you're working for and you don't think they're treating you fairly, go work somewhere else.
Right.
That's my approach. And I don't understand unionism. And what they would say is, well, if they're not being fair, then you should have the right to shut down their business. Not.
Who's the boss?
Not really, because here's why, is because we've addressed all of this. The reason that unions are losing their luster and that people don't understand them and don't see the benefits of them or the purpose for them, we have a very highly functional private sector, and our marketplace for people's skills is well established. It's not that people are working for 3 cents an hour, which is illegal. It's not that people are working 80 hours a week in dangerous conditions, because we've corrected that. All the things that unions existed for originally, which were really for the workers, we've already settled all that. Those are illegal to do. And so now what are they for? Well, somebody an IBEW worker, the average one at Chugach Electric, makes $160,000 in pay and benefits.
Mm.
That's 3 times what an average person in our city makes. The only way that they do that, and this is the true reason for our unions, they bought the people who gave them a contract. Love to hear from you on it. If you are no on one and you know of a reason why these should be rejected, right? Why AO 37 should be repealed, I would like to hear from you. It is my contention that other than a couple of very specific things, which only union members would probably get, that you would not be able to convince the public that you have a case to stand on. So I would like to hear from you if you are, and then maybe you can go on and debate this at United for Liberty. 569-1080. Let me go to Steve. Steve, welcome.
Well, hi, Glenn and Bonnie.
Good morning.
I've been looking all over the internet. I need to get me a vote yes on one sign, and I just don't know where to find one.
I called the Alaska Republican Party yesterday and got on a list. I guess they are out of them.
They're making them as fast as they can. Let me tell you where to go. Yes on one for Anchorage, and the ONE is spelled out, and it's for FOR. Yes on one for Anchorage.com. Okay. And you will probably be able to request them there. And also, Mayor Fink has a piece today that's out, and I think he refers you to, I think it's Alaska Policy Forum. I don't know whether they have signs or not. They're not a direct sponsor of it, but that might give you, maybe they have a better phone number for you.
I think it's picking up steam.
No, for sure. I mean, this was desperately needed.
We finally have a voice. Yes.
All right, Steve, appreciate it. Thanks for calling. Thanks for looking for a sign. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Biegel, Bonnie, and Brian are in today, so stay tuned. Biegel, and Bonnie. Biegel, Bonnie, and Brian are in today, so stay tuned.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Give them a call, 569-1080, KOAN.
Hi, my name is Mike Ferris, president of Alaska Enterprise Solutions. We are the face of Xerox in Alaska. Xerox is a trendsetter, and AES Xerox is following in those footsteps. We are the document management experts, specializing in short-term rentals of copiers and scanners. We have offices in Anchorage and Fairbanks, and we are your Xerox professional agency with an Alaska and worldwide support. You can reach us at aesalaska.com or 561-5100.
It's said that character is what you do when no one is watching. If that's the case, then Senator Kathy Giesel has the sort of character that is needed in Juneau. Away from the photo ops or flashy media events, Kathy Giesel hits the books just like she did in nursing school. For the past 4 years, Senator Giesel has worked hard for you, studying the impact of greater access to immunizations for Alaska's kids, crafting legislation that frees up business owners to expand and hire more Alaskans, and working to improve the infrastructure like roads and schools, not just for this generation, but for generations of Alaskans to come. This election is more than just about promises or bullet points. It's about sending the right person to Juneau with the character to act on behalf of us when we can't watch. We need someone with the character to do the hard work when no one is watching, to make decisions we can trust. We need to re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel.
Paid for by re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel for Senate. 12701 Ridgewood Road, Anchorage, Alaska, 99516.
Being a business owner isn't easy. There's managing people, customers, income, expenses, unexpected issues, growing your brand, and so much more. Ready to be more efficient in everything you do? Then listen to Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Each week, David gives you the inside scoop on the latest business news and trends, along with tools for keeping your business on track. Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 a.m.
Hot Talk, KOAN, man.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel.
$8:17 a.m. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Fagan taking a vacay, and we'll be back on Monday or some time off. So it's Biegel, Bonnie, and Brian, the Buzz, the Buzz. Welcome to the program, and I'd love to hear from you. 569-1080. We have a circumstance that I don't know that I've ever run across, and to me it speaks to the power of conservatives getting together and deciding that we will discuss rather than preach, that we will talk to each other rather than lecture one another, and that Michael Chambers is in studio with me. That really is what United for Liberty is about.
Yes, Glenn, thank you very much for having me on this morning, and Bonnie. And that's exactly what United for Liberty is about, is that when we sit down and we start dialoguing, we actually start forming relationships and start trusting each other. And I'm extremely excited about the future of United for Liberty, because there's more and more people coming on and understanding that to sit down and have these conversations and get past the yelling and start recognizing that we do have about 95% that we do in fact agree with.
You know, the one thing I think is very confusing is conservatives have never thought that they had anything to lose. But we look at the border, and we are looking at a budget that's $2.5 billion in debt, and that we realize that the other side, people who are in big environment, people who are special interests, whether it's trial lawyers or public sector unions, they're not really worried about how this all turns out. They'll take whatever they can get as long as they can get it, and not really interested in the big picture of how families try and put ends together. How they make ends meet. I think conservatives, as I've watched the organization form, United for Liberty, and what's a good website for it, by the way?
It's actually www.uflalaska.com.
What I've found is that conservatives are finally coming to terms with the fact that, traditional conservatism, we just lost marriage in the state of Alaska, no longer has sort of an operational majority. That they are going to have to find other people who have maybe a slightly different version of liberty, a slightly different version of conservatism, a slightly different set of issues upon which maybe there's some agreement and maybe there's a little bit of disagreement. But what I've taken the most heart in is that conservatives have stopped being so proud, and that they figured out we have something to lose here, and it's our currency, it's our borders, it's our families. I mean, there is a lot to battle for. It's our schools. So I do see such a positive set of potential from United for Liberty, and maybe that's just my hope, sort of walking over reality. And I'm wondering what you see. I mean, have there been like these magical conversions that I'm hoping are going on in conservative, libertarian, common sense, independence minds? Are they figuring out what they do?
Oh, absolutely. United for Liberty is set down with every major candidate that's running this year. In fact, we're having a sit down with Governor Parnell on the 20th.
Now, describe for me this sit down of a candidate coming in. What kind of people would be there? Who would they be representing? And then walk me through sort of the questioning process.
Sure. Actually, if you go to UnitedForLibertyAlaska.com, we have 20 different organizations, and so what I usually do is get 2 representatives from each organization, so it's a well-represented body. The politicians find it really interesting because when they walk in the door, we all have name tags on that say UFL, but with our
association. So it's really quite intimidating for them because they can't do their homework just like on the Anchorage Tea Party. They're looking across the spectrum and going, my goodness. And so then
I've heard some politicians of note have been giving different speeches to different people at different times.
Exactly.
So I can imagine.
No. Politicians don't do that.
Some very highly, somebody who might actually win the governor's race is what the one I've heard.
Exactly. Well, and so it makes it, they have to take a large segment of questions from a lot of varied groups that have common ground, but they have different flavors that they, and so when they come in there, they walk away, all politicians walk away thinking that it's one of the best meetings that they ever had. So
now I'm guessing that the benefit for them here is, what you guys want to hear is, what is your approach? What are your beliefs about government and the people? What do you feel about the relationship here, and what would it mean? And then maybe you'll go into some specifics about what they would do.
Sure. I think that the most important thing is that many times you find politicians speak to special interest groups substantially, and
because special interest groups matter, by the way.
Right.
They fund campaigns. Correct. They go and organize. They walk streets, and I'm not talking in the red light district. I'm talking about door to door to door.
Right. Correct. Yeah. That's correct. But the real special interest is we the people. And too many times the politicians start.
We don't want a damn thing from government. We want them to stop doing things that they shouldn't do, and we want them to do the things that they have to do as well as they can.
Well, and it comes to a self-sufficiency. And if you take the next 3 or 4 years, if you're looking at the price of oil, I would suggest that the United for Liberty message of less government is a substantial message going forward.
In fact, it may be the only one that can save us.
It's exactly right.
I look forward, and I'm going to have several legislators and potential legislators coming on this week. And I truly feel, and I'd be interested in your take on it, this is not a job most normal people are going to want. Most of the time, being a legislator is pretty fun. You get $12 billion from other people. It's not your money. You can spend it this way. You throw it to this capital project, you hire this, that, the other thing, you're the center of attention.
It must feel good.
It's
you're
fun.
Spending all that money. And
yeah, people
so
coming to your door every day, all day, these special interests, just constantly walking in. I have a feeling it's going to be one of the worst jobs in Alaska. It's going to be one of the hardest jobs in the history of the state, and maybe in the history of the country. It's that dire.
Well, and Glenn, you hit the nail on the head. Great leadership is lonely, and great leadership, a lot of times they have to take positions that are not popular. In this next legislature, there's going to have to be a lot of legislators step forward with not popular positions, because we're out of money.
It almost takes a different approach to government. Rather than asking people what they want to do, we almost have to approach it from the other end, which is, what does government have to do? Otherwise, people will, be on the street. Otherwise, people will be starving. Otherwise, people, they will be in crisis. And it's almost like that's the level of approach we need now.
Well, we need to start developing self-sufficiency again. That's where America
subsistence.
Came from. That we're self-sufficient, that we actually know how to take care of ourselves, and we don't look for the government to take care of us.
Yeah, and take care of one another.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great to go to your neighbor if you were truly in need, rather than a government bureaucrat? I mean, what a difference I think that would make to our society.
Absolutely. I always appreciated living up in Fairbanks, because when it's 50 or 60 below, your friend. Your neighbor.
That's right.
So
because you do get into troubling situations a lot.
Big time. You have to be extremely resourceful the further north you go. So I think that whole spirit of Alaska, and being friends and having friends and being resourceful, that's going to be an extremely good thing, because when you're talking about family values, that's what you're talking about. You're not just talking about your direct family. You're talking about the family of people, and to reach out to your friends. I originally come from Idaho, and we have a saying that we use each other. But that's okay. That's a good thing if you reciprocate.
Yeah.
And so that's what community is all about, is reaching out and helping each other get through the times. And we're going to be going through some hard times. We could be very seriously losing a lot of population here in the state of Alaska over the next 4 or 5 years, because things are going to be tough.
Byron Malott said something. Frankly, I was shocked at. Actually, the whole debate to me was very interesting, and this gives an indication of how dire the situation is. He admitted we're going to have to cut the budget. Parnell said the same thing. He said Senate Bill 21 was the right bill for us. that it's actually working. We get more money at these lower oil prices. I would imagine most of the people who made arguments for yes on one in the primary, they could never have seen this coming before. Is this an age of honesty? Are we headed into a period here in Alaska where the partisanship of the situation is really going to have to fall away, and the reality of the situation, which is we cannot afford the government that we have built?
Absolutely.
That's going to be hard. I don't know.
Oh, it's
because people in Alaska, they live partisan politics. That's what they do. It's their time off. They blog about it. They talk about it. They go and work at environmental firms, which are shutting down jobs as fast as they possibly can. The idiots down on the Panhandle shut down the Tongass logging, which ended 300-400 jobs, could terminate one of the largest businesses in the state of Alaska. I mean, honestly, we are on the knife's edge. If the state doesn't have a lot of money to sort of slosh around, I have a feeling environmentalism is going to be losing a little bit of its luster here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, and it needs to, because the state of Alaska, when we became a state and the statehood compact told us that we could have 90% of our resources, but then the federal government says we can only develop like 1% of our resources, it really doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
They are our masters at some point.
Well, you know,
is Begich going to have a hard time making his case? I mean, what's your take on that race?
I think he's having a real hard time. I think that he's certainly not getting any traction, and the president isn't helping him with the current situations that he's finding himself in.
I saw him at 37% and 39%, which are like historic lows for a president. You just don't, other than Nixon. You know, you don't see anybody at that level. So you got an event coming up on Friday. Yes. The shocking thing is nobody wants to represent No on One, which is those are the people we hear the most from. I mean,
correct, exactly.
Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they be able to come to a public forum?
You know,
are they afraid of you guys?
Well, do
you not give them a fair shake?
I think everybody should be afraid of us if you want to get there. But you know, I think that United for Liberty is really building a relationship whereby we are very professional and neutral in putting on debates and putting on forums. And,
you're going to have a professional debate.
Yes, absolutely.
Person on this.
Yes.
Well, okay, we're going to cover the debate when we come back, and really a shocking realization that No on One has just decided, after they complain about Parnell not showing up, you know, and all these other politicians, they're the ones who are not going to show up to this. I'm shocked. I still can't believe it. 829 Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, 569 1080, 569 1080. Stay tuned. 569 1080, 569 1080. Stay tuned.
Fagan and Biegel.
Local news brought to you by Jansen Funeral Homes, Jansen's Evergreen Memorial Chapel, Jansen's Alaska Cremation Center, and Jansen's Eagle River Funeral Home. Jansen Funeral Homes, where just like family, they're there when you need them.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. A man who allegedly disrupted operations at the Anchorage airport on Saturday night is now in the custody of the FBI. Authorities believe the threat was not credible. Several flights were briefly grounded after they say the unidentified suspect phoned in a threat against an unspecified target. Family and friends will say a tearful goodbye today at the funeral for longtime public radio music host Marvel Johnson. He was killed last week at the age of 64, allegedly by a teenage foster son who reportedly was angry about being grounded for using the synthetic drug Spice. Ketchikan is working to get long-abandoned boats removed from local waters. Officials say in some cases there is no way to identify the owner. Finally, state transportation crews have a new tool that may help them clear roads of snow faster this winter. The trailer that allows a truck to plow 2 lanes at once. That's your Hot Talk News update.
Sunshine and clouds this afternoon, high 43. Partly cloudy for tonight, low 27. Sunshine and clouds tomorrow, high 41. Wednesday night, low 29. Thursday, clouds and sunshine, high 43. And Friday, clouds and sun, high again 43. Hot talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1.
Spark of heavenly fire, which lies dormant in the broad daylight of prosperity, but which kindles up and beams and blazes in the dark hour of adversity. The 2014 Alaska Women's Summit. The University of Alaska, Anchorage College of Health, U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski, and State Senator Lisa McGuire are calling on Alaska's brightest women to come together to work on finding answers to the toughest questions.
Sports drinks on the market today, but what makes them good for you? I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Focusing on building communities of change, self-advocacy, and removing the glass ceiling. Learn how empowerment and mentorship are vital tools in fostering successful young women. Presented by GCI. Also sponsored by Saltchuk, ConocoPhillips, and BP. Register online today, AlaskaWomenSummit.com. The 2014 Alaska Women's Summit. Come and spark your fire.
Best Split Firewood can deliver split firewood to your house today.
It has carbs, fluids to hydrate you, even a little bit of protein for muscle recovery. Now, if you're buying a traditional sports drink from the store, check the sugar count. Some drinks marketed healthy, they actually have a ton of sugar in them. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
The flu, pneumonia, whooping cough, hepatitis A, shingles, meningitis, tetanus. That's a scary list. But did you know immunizations can protect you from every one? You didn't? Well, we do. Rite Aid pharmacists are certified to immunize against the most common preventable diseases. Find out what immunizations you need with a free immunization evaluation at Rite Aid today. With us, it's personal. Availability and age restrictions apply in some states. See pharmacist for details.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. With one phone call, you'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information. It's a free service, so call now.
800-379-1174. 800-379-1174.
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth. Why, thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years. I get scared at the dentist. Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist with Dr. Kiley. I know it's important to have good dental health. And you look better with good teeth. And Dr. Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com. Call him at 562-9209.
Why is A&A the shop, Alaska's independent Subaru specialist? How is it they've been voted the best shop in Anchorage not once but 6 times? Well, it's pretty simple. They offer the best warranty in the business. If they work on your Subaru, you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on both parts and labor. That's unheard of. A&A the shop deals exclusively with Subarus, and they also offer $35 oil changes. All their technicians are ASE certified. Call A&A the shop for an appointment. 562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River.
Here's my good friend, Keith Monternock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto 349-1637.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot.
By the Alaska Broadcasters Association and this local station.
Fagan.
Oh, yeah. Hey, good sound effect there. Little Specialty Truck and Auto intro music. Keith Monternock over at Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637. He's got certified technicians, really a great shop, and it's easy to get to. It's across from the Long Branch Saloon, and he does care about your car, and he's fantastic at what he does. You know, a lot of times you'll go in there and you're not sure whether or not you're going to get. They're going to start diagnosing all kinds of things which do not have anything to do with the real problem. Keith is not that way. Very straight shooter, and really in the car industry that makes a big difference. So I hope you give him a call, 349-1637. Keith Montronac, truly somebody you can trust in fixing your car. I'm on with Michael Chambers. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie are on the air. We're on KOAN and KVNT, and I would love to hear from you. 569-1080 is the number. I told you guys I would finish a quote. I started a quote. The first half of the quote is, if you have $3,650. I don't imagine anybody could imagine what the rest of the quote is. You're among the wealthiest half of people in the world.
We're the top 1%.
Half of the world has less than $3,650 in assets to their name.
Wow.
We've got a long way to go. We've got a long way to go. You know, it's funny because Americans, and again, Michael Chambers with United for Liberty, you got an event coming up on Friday. We're desperately trying to find you somebody who will hold up the no on one side.
That's correct.
The public unions are spending, what are they up to, 700,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
700,000. You have to know you're going to get millions if you're going to spend $700,000.
With as sure as they are of their side, you'd think it'd be easy to find somebody. I mean, they are just sure they're right.
Oh, absolutely. But clearly I'm having a very difficult time. I've been working on this for approximately 2 weeks now. I've reached out to the Firefighters Association, to the Policemen's Association, to both their presidents, and they've declined. I've reached out to the Assembly. There's like 4 people on the Assembly that support no on one. It's been you can hear crickets with regard to them getting back with me. So I am certainly coming on to appeal to the no on one group that we need representatives out there that would come up and step up and speak to the public, because this is the public funds, and I think that they have every opportunity to be able to plead their case. They have some legitimate talking points, and I would suggest that they need to step forward and come to the public and step in front of the public and state their case, because I think that that's what America's all about, is coming into the debate. I want to give my email, my telephone number, because if there's any folks out there that are no on one and they would like to step up and be a representative, I'd be more than happy to take those calls and make sure that that happens. My email is chambones@hotmail.com. That's CHAMBONES, chambones@hotmail.com, and my telephone number is 748-6323. So we do have people that are willing to step in as surrogates, but certainly I don't think that they're going to get the representation that they deserve by virtue of having just a surrogate come in.
We may have to replay videos, or you may have to replay videos at this or something like that. I mean, how sad would that be? Not even have a person there, because the people who are no on one aren't even going to make their case. And I agree with you. They got public money.
Absolutely.
These are all public servants, and they're using their public money in their own forums, basically spending the crud out of TV and signs and radio, and then they won't come to a public forum, that's put on by a professional organization. There's a professional debate. What would you call them? Moderator?
Right. Absolutely.
So there's no bias here.
Well, and I want to speak to the forum and to the format, because basically what we're doing is we're looking for a no on one representatives that will step forward. We have no questions, okay? They are formulating the questions for each side. So our moderator basically is only catering to the time frames, and so clearly they can come in with their own talking points. They can bring everything that they want to the other side. The moderator, clearly, we don't have any preformed questions or anything like that. We're going to take questions from the audience. So basically they have the opportunity to be able to frame the arguments.
Well, I'm shocked. I've never even heard of, when you're going to have one group spend $700,000. They're well organized. They know exactly what their talking points are. They give them at every public forum. They go out to community councils and places like that. But they're not willing to go to a public forum, and there aren't very many of these put on.
No.
Where they're a debate format. So in all the other ones, all they do is just make a presentation. Here, there would be questions back and forth, which, I mean, if they don't want to go, it's an indication that their case isn't very strong.
Well, and all the public has heard so far is the no side. In, advertisements, radio, I mean, how many times have we heard the stories of the police and the detectives and, the people who are essential, but there's so many more who are non-essential, too, that this is affecting. I mean, I don't know the percentages, but I'll bet it's greatly, like we were saying, the administration.
Well, I find that the general public out there is rather confused with regard to the AL 37. So when we have these debates, what we're doing is we're educating the public, particularly on both sides, what the issues are. And I think that that's only appropriate that they step forward and help educate the public out there exactly what this is, instead of just no on one or yes on one. I think it's a lot deeper than that, and I think the public deserves to have that opportunity.
Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, 569-1080 is the number. I got a couple of phone calls here backed up. Michael Chambers from United for Liberty, they got an event, and they are desperately seeking Susan, as long as Susan wants to speak for no on one. You could change your name to Susan, or you could just come as whoever you are. We're really looking for anybody at this point. Terrence, welcome to Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie.
Morning.
Morning.
I was calling just to let Michael know that can't find anybody. Myself and Craig Fleener will step up and take that role of being an advocate for no. And I think that I hope that they find somebody that can come in. But we're willing to kind of play the devil's advocate and be that debate team that comes in and at least gives them a chance.
Well, that's good, because public debate, is basically how the country was founded, and you can't have one side just running away, and that's how most of the people got educated about just about everything about our country. So that's a very big step for you and Craig Fleener to step up and do. That's amazing.
Terrence, I want to tell you I appreciate that, and I'm going to put you guys on number 2. Okay, you've got number 2 behind your names, and I'll look for number 1 until just before the debate. And if they step up, then I'll ask you to graciously step down, and we'll go from there. But I certainly appreciate you making that commitment.
Thanks, Terrence. Russ, thanks for holding for us. You're on Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Michael Chambers from United for Liberty is in.
Russ, thanks for holding for us.
Russ?
Hey. How are you, Glenn? This is Russ Millett. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I saw you at Anand's event yesterday.
I did. I appreciated that compliment you gave me.
Oh yeah. Well, it's always nice to see you. What are you calling about?
Well, thank you. Hey, listen. I have a question for Michael and a question for Bonnie. Maybe a question for you, Glenn. But Michael, have you contacted Vince Beltrami?
No, actually, I haven't.
How about anybody from the Democratic Party over there, one of their leaders?
Yes, I have been contacting them.
Okay, I would just politely or kindly suggest you call Vince or the unions over there and ask them what they're going to do, and if they're interested. They're probably not. I think these people are running scared, Glenn.
Well, Vince doesn't have anything directly to do with this, by the way. This doesn't have anything to do with teachers and has nothing essentially to do with the AFL-CIO. Yeah. It really has to do with our public municipal unions, that they cannot have 5-year contracts and anything over CPI +1 as a raise. Yeah. That basically is the essence of it.
I think they'd still be worthy to contact. Bonnie, I have a question for you. You said you contacted the Republican Party about these yes on one signs?
Yes.
Did you ask them if they were charging to sell those?
I did not.
Yeah, I would suggest that you call over there and ask them that before people go over. I have no problem.
Well, they're just housing them. They're not involved in the fight directly. They're keeping the signs.
I would pay for one.
Really?
Well, yeah,
I would absolutely pay for one.
Yeah, Bonnie, hear me out here, okay? I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm saying that a lot of people would like to know that, because the Republican Party is notorious for selling things that aren't necessarily theirs and raising money for the party. Now, there's nothing wrong with a donation. I think a lot of people would be willing, like you, to give a donation as opposed to buying one or even buying one. But you understand my point.
Yes.
Yeah, they probably can't sell them. Hey, Russ, I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Thanks very much. 8:46 a.m. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Appreciate you coming in, Michael Chambers. Hopefully, United for Liberty will find their champion for no on one. We can only hope. Thanks for coming in. Stay tuned.
Are designing the line right now. We have the gas, we have the route, and we have the offtakes to supply energy for Alaska communities. But Bill Walker doesn't like it. He called the Alaska LNG project fatally flawed and wants to study the plan or renegotiate it, which will add years of delays and could kill the gas line altogether. Look at Walker's track record. For years, he's pushed a pipeline plan that had no permits, no gas, no sellers, and no buyers. The Alaska LNG project is underway. Let's stick with the plan that's working and the governor who's making it happen, Sean Parnell. Paid for by Parnell Sullivan 2014, Box 100719 Anchorage.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give him a call.
We spend our time in life, and a lot of times life is just passing us by. We get a little older, a little fatter, a little less comfortable getting up and moving around with the grandkids or the kids. Whatever the situation is, there are people who can help. It requires that you lift an enormously heavy object called your phone in order to get assistance. But you get Chiropractic, a massage center. Their massage therapy, I do want to tell you about today. It's almost a religious experience. I mean, you think about it, the deep tissue, hot stone massage, trigger point massage, it is amazing. It takes a half an hour or an hour, and the length of time will determine how deep the massage will go. But I was sore for 3 days the first time I went to a massage. And here's what I knew.
In a good way.
Well, I was like, I would wake up the next day and I was still sore, but here's what I knew, that I had built into some of my muscles, particularly like calf muscle, something that just simply had never worked itself out. It had been there for years, and it was like a little muscle knot or whatever, and it wasn't going to go away. It needed to be worked out. So to me, the kinds of things they can do, we just accept these things. They're just part of life, right? This is the way I am. I'm not going to change. Wrong. The whole thing's wrong. 694-9224, Chugach Chiropractic and Massage, and they can change their life. Hopefully they won't change your religion, but, there's always that possibility. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Fagan is out this week. I'll be back next Monday. We're in the heat of political season, and I just love this time of year. I don't pay that much attention to the commercials, so I guess I'm lucky in that way, but I do pay attention to issues, and I see a number of things that came out today. Some of them just blow me away. Malott says that Senate Bill 21 was a good law, that it's working. Wow. Where did that come from? He says the budget's got to be cut. Wow. Where did that come from? We are in a new day. And I don't know what kind of day we're headed into. I think it's going to be a good one, both for our private sector. I think we're going to throw off the fears of the environmentalists. Yeah, they're trying to list wolverines, by the way, as an endangered species. Wildlife groups sue for wolverine protections. Really? I don't even think you can kill a wolf.
They'd make anything an endangered species if they could.
Well, here's what they've said, is because of the, quote, warming Arctic, they can sue on 350 different species. There's no job, there's no process. The pipeline, mines, roads, they can sue on anything. If they wanted to stop your house, by the way, square foot per square foot, you want to know how much dirtier your house is than just about any business? If they wanted to sue you to stop you from building your house, they could. There's nothing they can't do. They have all the regulations. They have all the laws that they need. Wildlife groups sue for wolverine protections. A coalition of advocacy groups on Monday challenged the government's denial of federal protections for the snow-loving wolverine, filing a lawsuit that contends officials ignored evidence a warming climate will eliminate denning areas for the so-called mountain devil. An estimated 250 to 300 wolverines survive in the lower 48 states. The elusive but ferocious members of the weasel family raise their young in deep mountain snowfields that many scientists say could be at risk of disappearing as the climate changes. I don't know whether or not the, quote, scientists have gotten the note. We had one of the coldest years in the last year, coldest winters in the lower 48 that we've ever had. we had more snow coverage at the beginning of the season, I just think this was as of last week, than has ever been witnessed in North America. So my guess is this: they will survive. That is my guess. That is my take. We've been warmer than this. We've had lots of climate variations throughout the eons, and wolverines will make it through this one as well. I like the fact that we don't go and hunt them. I mean, obviously, human beings are very efficient killers, and if we wanted to wipe out every polar bear, in a matter of a couple of days, we could. If we wanted to wipe out every walrus, in a matter of it'd probably take a little longer, probably take a few weeks.
There's lots of them.
Yeah. But, I mean, if we really set our minds to it, we can wipe things out. They did it in Europe. I learned this, and I think it's a fact. You know that sometimes you hear things and you think they're facts. You're like, well, that's so interesting. I bet it's a fact. But I heard, and I'm pretty sure it's true, that Europe wiped out all predators. All wolves, all fox, all bears. They just wiped them out because there were getting to be so many people that they didn't want to compete with predators at all. And so, and this was back in the 1600s. I mean, it was a long time ago, where they just basically made a decision. We're not trying to save a species. The species can live elsewhere. It can live in Russia if it wants to survive. We're wiping them all out.
Did they kill them all or just remove them?
No, they killed them all.
And put them somewhere else.
In other words, they deliberately went out to delete predators off their lands, off human-settled lands, because there was enough people so that they didn't want human and animal interactions with the predator species. Anyway,
I think we should do that with sharks.
Really? They just freak you out so much?
Me.
Yeah.
Just get rid of them. The only good shark's a dead shark.
They're so mindless. And their teeth, once their teeth lock in, can they let go? They must be able to let go, because you keep hearing about people who get shark bites. But
I don't want to. Yuck. I'm glad to live in Alaska, where we only have to worry about bears.
They have sharks here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's true, but I'm not swimming in the water around them.
I don't know how many times I went into Goose Lake, and I couldn't keep out of my head.
People let their pets go.
I mean, honestly, I was thinking that a shark, and you can freak yourself out.
Yeah.
There's no limit to
Especially
the amount
if you've watched Jaws.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, what about leeches, though?
Yeah, those are scary.
Nah.
Gross.
They're not sharks.
They get up all over you.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Out at Nancy Lake, where there's a cabin that I go to occasionally, and yeah, there are leeches.
Well,
amazing numbers of leeches.
And now you got to worry about pike, and those things have teeth.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard of them biting people.
I don't know about people, but they kill birds. Baby birds they take all the time.
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely evil incarnate. Whoever created.
And I think you can kill as many of those as you want.
Oh yeah.
So go do it.
If you want.
Sounds like fun.
Now that turns out not to be as easy. They've poisoned lakes. Like there are certain kinds of poison that I guess pike are susceptible to, but not other things. But it's pretty iffy.
We should give them Ebola.
We would probably end up getting it.
Yeah.
We'll get in trouble for testing it on pike.
Yeah. Marriage rates hit an all-time low. Don't be surprised.
Yeah.
The redefinition of marriage comes partially as a result for people not thinking defining marriage is important.
It's not a redefinition so much as it is an undefinition.
Yeah.
There is no definition.
Well,
for
no.
now.
Here, the definition for marriage is two people who love each other.
Oh, right.
Right. But look, I don't care whether or not a boyfriend and girlfriend love each other. It really doesn't make any difference to me. What I do care about is whether or not you're going to create a home together, have children together, and raise them. That's really what I care about. If you're not going to do that, what difference does it make to most other people whether or not you love someone? Anyway, we now have statewide marriage here, same-sex marriage in the state of Alaska due to federal magistrate decree. And, I think what will happen over time is the essence of marriage being an enormously sacrificial relationship between a man and a woman, that will continue to be held by the vast majority of people who actually get married. Because I think what also is going on, people are getting married later. Fewer and fewer people are getting married, as that statistic from Drudge points out, lowest marriage rate in history. And so it's really going to be up to individual families to establish the sanctity and the importance of marriage because our schools don't teach it.
Yeah.
Our
and-
TV doesn't teach it.
No, and the repeating theme I keep hearing is, well, it's not going to affect you anyway. Your marriage is still fine. It's freedom for everybody else. It doesn't affect you, but it does. I mean,
It
think about
affects our society.
Well, think about the photographers and the florists and the bakers.
Well,
and
even getting past that, society is dependent on marriage, right, for limited government. If we don't have marriages, then we have boys that grow up without fathers. If boys grow up without fathers, they need a big government.
and girls without daddies.
Right, and so it isn't the definition of marriage that has me worried. I do think in the past, first of all, you could have gotten married to whoever you wanted to. It just wasn't recognized by the government. So what you want is some monetary benefit or some recognition benefit that the government gives you. But everyone could always get married. You don't even need a priest to get married. You don't need a pastor. Two people who pledge themselves to each other are married in at least some sense. So it wasn't that at all. What we worry about, what conservatives now should worry about, and what I tried to convince people yesterday to worry about, is the fatherlessness statistics are stark. They're very dramatic. And children who grow up without fathers are far worse off in this world. Families who don't have a father are far worse off. They're far poorer. It's more dangerous for people. And so it does affect people as we redefine marriage, and then it doesn't matter. We don't recognize it as a sacrifice. We recognize it as two people loving each other, and it doesn't matter. Why get married if it's just love? Because you're going to fall in love, you're going to fall out of love. You want to have sex with this person, want to have sex with that person. What's marriage for? Marriage is for society as a bulwark against tyranny. That basically is what it is. And I think that's what we'll find over time as people want to redefine it and forget what it really is. Folks, it's been a great pleasure to be with you. 8:58 a.m. here on October 14th, the Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie Show. Dan will be back next week, so it's just Biegel, Bonnie, and Brian, the Buzz. God bless. The Buzz. So it's just Biegel, Bonnie, and Brian, the Buzz. God bless. The Buzz.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Be sure to catch them every weekday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. on Hot Talk. Be sure to catch them every weekday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT, 92.5 FM, 1020 a.m. and online at 1020kvnt.com.